So there I was, standing at the front of the line, about to gamble my entire future on a slot machine. Let me back up. 7 years ago, I transmigrated into this world. Cool world. Very normal world. 700 years before I showed up, the sky woke up one morning and decided everyone was having a bad day. The planet's surface bloated to 10 million times its old size overnight. Every flower, every dog, every sad little houseplant turned into a monster with a body count. Then the secret realms opened, the demons showed up, and the apocalypse became a Tuesday. So humanity did what humanity does. It gave everyone a job. Turn 18, hit rank 10, and you show up to the job transfer ceremony to pull a class. Become an awakener and you're set for life. Money, status, power, women throwing business cards at you through a chain-link fence. I'm not exaggerating about that last part. Right outside our playground, the local marriage market was in full swing. A mature 27-year-old woman, 3 companies, several villas, seeking an awakener boyfriend. 21, body proportions 323, looking for a child, large sum of money, I only want your excellent genes. I like white stockings and awakener brothers. I can be a little, yeah, that's the vibe. Change jobs successfully, and you graduate from human being to breeding stock. Everyone wants a piece. It's very romantic. And me? I'm Lee Kwan, Class 7, Grade 12, front of the line, class president, academic star, the face that launched 1,000 thirst posts. I know how that sounds. Trust me, I'm as tired of hearing it as you are. See, the thing about being the top student is that everyone loves you until the exact second you might fail. Then, they line up to watch. Half the crowd behind me was praying for my success. The other half was praying I'd pull smell tester and spend my life sniffing other people's shoes. What's he being so arrogant about? Ha! Imagine the top student pulls a trash job. That'd be hilarious. Standard classmate behavior, honestly. Because here's the part nobody tells you at 18. Your grades matter. But the ceremony? The ceremony is a slot machine. Study for 7 years, walk into the magic circle, and the universe hands you whatever it wants. Warrior, mage, archer, jackpot. Or you become a miner, or a cook, or if the universe really hates you, a lactation consultant. Somebody in line actually said he was hoping for that one. I chose not to ask. The magic circle lit up. The principal grabbed the mic. The job change ceremony officially begins. And immediately, it went to hell difficulty. First guy up, Chen Tao, another so-called genius. He walks into the circle. He walks out an ash breaker, which is exactly what it sounds like. His whole future and his job is to break ash. He wiped away one single tear and muttered, I wanted to fight monsters. Who the hell wants to beat up ashes? Buddy, I felt that. Then it just kept going. Blacksmith, miner, 4 kids pulled nothing at all, no class, no awakener. Congratulations, you played yourself. 50% failure rate, and half the winners got life skill jobs. The playground turned into a group therapy session. What the heck is smell tester? Is my nose a dog now? Who took their shoes off? Then they called her name. Jolyn. And the entire playground shut up. Now I need you to understand Jolyn. She's the school beauty. Not cute for our school, the actual undisputed distinguished family, terrifying talent school beauty. Long legs, sharp little face, a ponytail with attitude. The kind of girl who has both boys and girls quietly writing her name in the margins of their notebooks. She's also, technically, my number 2. For years, I've kept her stuck in second place. And instead of hating me for it, she declared war. Constant duels. She'd bring her ridiculous luxury lunch to the cafeteria and just sit down next to me like she owned the table. Do you know what that does to a man's reputation among other men? I became public enemy number 1. Some brave idiots once came to warn me off her, told me a rich young lady wasn't something a country bumpkin like me could climb up to. So I grabbed one by the collar and clarified the situation. Open your dog eyes. I'm not clinging to her, she's clinging to me. Jolyn watched me say that. She widened those big jewel eyes. She smiled with them narrowed. She walked over, slow and sweet, and then she beat those boys up a second time. They left crying, both times. I thought she'd finally back off after that. She did not. She's got, let's call it, a personality. Anyway, she pulled Swift Archer, high burst, high agility, dream soloing class, Top 3 in the city guaranteed. Her teacher nearly fainted from joy. The playground buzzed. Of course, the beauty pulls a god-tier class. That's how these stories go. And then, it was my turn. The whole yard leaned in. The families on the podium leaned in. Even the marriage market vultures pressed their faces to the fence. Everyone waiting for the top student's coronation. I step into the circle. Light swallowed me. The panel bloomed in front of my eyes. Li Chuan, first job advancement. Beast Master. Silence. Then the whole playground made the sound a room makes when it doesn't want to laugh but really, really does. Let me explain why, because you deserve the full tragedy. Beast Master is a combat class. Sounds fine. It is not fine. A Beast Master splits all his experience with his pet, so you level at half speed. That means you can't fight without a pet, and you can't afford a pet without money, and you have no money because you're leveling at half speed. It's a class that eats its own tail. There's a saying in this world, no money, don't play Beast Tamer. But I didn't pull Beast Master, I pulled Giant Beast Master, which is Beast Master, except the pets cost 10 times more. A giant beast cub would bankrupt a wealthy family. Feeding it would bankrupt them again. Nobody has ever caught one in the wild. Ever. The class was so unplayable they demoted it from special tier down to a regular combat class, and honestly that's an insult to regular combat classes. On paper, I'd just become a beautifully educated unemployed man. The podium reactions were the best part. The principal, who publicly bet I'd pull a hidden class, looked like reality had walked up and slapped him with a wet fish. The rich families, who 2 seconds ago were reaching for their checkbooks to buy me, all made the same face. The face you make when you find a fly in your soup. We can't afford him. We can't afford him. Even if he were my own son, I couldn't spoil him like this. Mercy. Pity. Gloating. The full buffet. Everyone had already written the ending. Poor, pretty genius, now a stray dog for a big family. Or a kept boy. Male or female, highest bidder wins. Meanwhile, inside the circle where nobody could see me, I was reading something else entirely. Congratulations on your advancement to Beast Master. Congratulations on your exclusive beast taming space. Congratulations on your exclusive skills. Congratulations on your SSS tier talent, affection of myriad beasts. Then 2 more lines. 2 lines that made my whole body go still. Divine rank talent, bloodline identification technique. Divine rank talent, beast pet fusion. 1 SSS, 2 divine ranks. I'd like to describe the emotion I felt, but the closest word is the noise a kettle makes right before it screams. Because let me tell you what those 3 talents actually do. Affection of myriad beasts. Every Beastmaster skill I use, boosted by 1,000%. Not 10%, 1,000. Tenfold, across the board. Bloodline identification. I look at any pet and I see its final evolved form. For free. In a world where finding that out costs a fortune at an appraisal house, and half the time they can't even read it, I get it at a glance. And the last one. The one that broke me a little. Beast Pet Fusion. Take 3 pets of the same species, fuse them, and you get the final form of that species. No restrictions, no luck, no breeding for 10 years and praying. So let me walk you through what that means. The giant Beastmaster's whole problem is that it needs a giant beast, and giant beasts don't exist for sale. There are fewer than 5 on the entire planet. Cubs are basically a myth. But I don't need to find a giant beast. I just need to buy 3 cheap lizards and press a button. The trash class. My aching sides. Outside, I finally stepped out of the circle, doing my very best impression of a devastated young man. Wasn't hard. Everyone was already grieving on my behalf. My homeroom teacher got to me first. Li Hua. Class 7. Gold-rimmed glasses. The intellectual auntie energy. The one teacher who watched me claw up from nothing without my dad's name or anyone's money. She came right to the circle's exit and led me out by the shoulder, gentle as anything. Life is long, she said softly. Temporary gains and losses never decide the future. The money for a pet, we'll get it from a scholarship. As long as your talent is B level, it usually goes through. She was trying so hard to make me feel okay about the worst hand in the room. And I wasn't going to embarrass her by explaining that I just pulled the best hand on the planet. So I set my panel to hide everything. Everything except one line. Just the SSS. She glanced at it to confirm I'd hit B level for the scholarship. Then this dignified, gold-rimmed, intellectual woman screamed a word in front of the principal, the teachers, 1,000 students, and every rich family in the city. Holy crap! She thought she was seeing things. She stared at the bar. She counted. Once, twice, 3 times. S. 1 S. 3 S's. Her legs went out from under her, and I had to catch her before she face-planted in front of the entire ceremony. The principal was not pleased. First I embarrass him, now my teacher's doing gymnastics. "Teacher Gao, you're an elderly woman. Please compose yourself," he said into the mic, which is a wild thing to say to someone. "What's the problem? Has Li Chuan's talent reached B+?" Li Hua opened her mouth, and then she lied for me. "Yes, B+, definitely B+. Smart woman. Because if she'd said the truth out loud, SSS, in a world where dark forces hunt talented kids for sport, I'd have been kidnapped before dinner. She'd tell the principal quietly later. For now, she covered me. Then she leaned in and whispered the real plan. "I'll process your scholarship right now. It'll hit your account within the hour. Then go to the pet store." An hour? The application takes 5 business days. This is a special case. She waved her hand, a very large gesture. "You have SSS talent. If the school won't pay, I will." Which is when I learned my low-key auntie-teacher is secretly from one of the richest families in the city. Sure, why not? Everyone in this world is secretly a billionaire except me. I said thank you. I meant it. This woman took care of me, and I don't forget that. Some things you file away and carry with you. Then I went home to plan my heist. By the time I'd packed my bag, my phone buzzed. Bank text. 1 million gold coins, deposited. Turns out paper money is worthless now. The whole planet runs on gold coins, and above that, holy quartz, 1 crystal worth 10,000 coins. And I had 1 million coins burning a hole in my pocket and a talent that turned 3 lizards into a legend. But before I could escape the classroom, the door opened, and a very pretty girl walked in with her hands behind her back, hopping like a rabbit. "Li Chuan, is your talent really only B+? Zhou Lin, my number 2, my personal stalker, my swift archer." I nodded, and my eyes started scanning the room for exits. "Hey, I'm not a tiger. Why do you always look like you're about to run for your life?" "Because I am, Zhou Lin, every single time." She wanted to team up, grind the wild for a month before the big class advancement exam, level up together, get strong. I told her the honest truth, that without a giant beast pet, my class was worse than useless, that I'd just be dead weight dragging her down. "No, it's settled. Dawn Guild lobby, 8 a.m., 3 days from now." And she spun on her heel and skipped off humming, having heard exactly none of my words. I should mention, the last time I stood her up, she found my house, broke into my bedroom, in front of my parents, did an elegant high jump and body slammed me awake while I was sleeping in. My parents stood in the doorway, speechless, watching a girl crush their son into the mattress. It took me a very long, very sweaty conversation to prove our innocence. So, a personality, like I said. Anyway, I had a heist to run. The Dongling City Trading Market. Everything under one roof. Gear, potions, skill books, pets. Very working class, which means the stock is garbage, but garbage was exactly my price range. The street stalls first. Sickly pets, listless, not a single mystic beast among them. So I walked straight to the back, to the fancy shop, where a salesgirl locked on to me like a heat-seeking commission. "Combat pet or life pet?" "Combat." Her whole face lit up. Combat pets start at 100,000 each. She smelled her monthly bonus and got real friendly, real fast, and led me upstairs. She dropped the catalog in front of me and opened it like she was unveiling treasure. 160 pets, and the first page was the origin beasts, the good stuff. Giant golden-scaled python, 3 million. Vajra demon ape, 3.1 million. Unicorn thunder leopard, 3.3 million. My heart broke a little at each price tag. My whole scholarship couldn't buy one of these things' claws. So I flipped past the rich people section, out of sight, out of mind, to the pets a poor man could dream about. Two-headed dog, 800,000. Flaming tiger, 850. Wind wolf, 500,000. And here's where a normal beastmaster would agonize for a week. Which pet has the best growth path? Which one's worth the gamble? I don't gamble. I have divine rank cheat codes. I asked to see them in person, because a picture doesn't trigger bloodline identification. I needed to stand in front of them and read their futures like a menu. The warehouse out back was wall-to-wall cages, cubs to adults, every one of them glaring and growling like I owed them money. Wild eyes, sure, but no real ferocity. I've stared down monsters 10 levels above me. A grumpy leopard cub feels like a light breeze. So I walked the aisles and read fortunes. Shadow leopard, mystic beast, final form, divine beast. 300,000 in budget. Not bad. In fact, in this whole world, a divine beast pet is worth hundreds of millions and rarer than honesty. I kept it as a backup and moved on. Wind wolf, final form, origin beast. Next, the Vajra demon ape, 10 times the leopard's price, final form, also just divine beast. Same ceiling, 10 times the cost. So I learned something standing in that warehouse. Starting rank only sets the floor. The ceiling is a completely different lottery, and I was the only man alive holding the answer key. After that, the expensive cages bored me. I marched into the cheap Mystic Beast section, hunting for a hidden jackpot. Mystic Beast, final form, Spirit Beast. Trash. Mystic Beast, final form, Spirit Beast. Trash. One-horned rhino, final form, Divine Beast. Okay, a keeper. And then, nothing else. Small city, small dreams. Looked like it was Shadow Leopard or the Rhino, and I'd have to be happy with merely a divine beast. I was actually about to settle, and then I heard a tiny, offended cry. Wah! I turned. In the corner, 3 little things I'd walked right past were staring at me with big, clear eyes. Ice lizards. 30 centimeters each, ice blue, absolutely useless looking. They stuck their little pink tongues out at me. Even I, a certified straight man with a heist to run, felt my heart do something embarrassing. You 3 are cute. Let's see your limits. And I flicked bloodline identification at the world's most harmless lizards, expecting nothing. The reading hit me like a bucket of ice water. Mystic Beast. Final Evolution. Ancient Overlord. Extremely Cold Dragon. Ancestral Divine Beast. I stopped breathing. Let me tell you what Ancestral Divine Beast means in this world. It means nothing. Literally. It's the top rank on a chart nobody believes is real. The strongest pet ever seen on Earth was a sacred beast, 1 tier down, and that was 700 years ago. And most experts think ancestral divine beasts are a bedtime story, a myth, a debate for bored scholars. And 3 of them were sitting in a discount cage, sticking their tongues out at me, priced like decorative goldfish. The rarest creature in the history of the planet. In a corner, on sale. I did the only reasonable thing. I panicked internally and forced my face back to neutral. Because I am rank 10, I am a wet paper towel. And if word got out that I owned a myth, I'd be dead or dissected by morning. Keep the head down. Make the money. Tell no one. But the salesgirl had caught my little episode. Sir? You're not looking at the ice lizards, are you? That's the one. She looked genuinely conflicted. Because she was a good person, and the ice lizard is the single worst deal in the shop. It's the bottom of the Mystic Beast barrel, barely stronger than a demonic beast, cute enough that spoiled rich girls buy them as accessories, and it still costs 300,000, same as the shadow leopard that could eat all 3 of these lizards for breakfast. She looked at my young, handsome face, correctly guessed, broke newbie, and tried to save me from myself. Sir, maybe reconsider? The ice lizard, it's... Bless her. A salesgirl talking a customer out of a sale. In this economy. I shook my head, and inside I was cackling. Sweetheart. With an ancestral divine beast on the table, what is a divine beast? Garbage. Beautiful, expensive garbage. Okay, sir. Which one would you like? I'll pack it up. I want all 3. I pulled out my phone and opened the payment code. 900,000 gold coins. My entire scholarship, gone before I'd even felt it in my hand. And I did not care one bit. because I was walking out of that shop carrying 3 of the same species, which is precisely, the number Beast Pet Fusion needs. The salesgirl's brain visibly rebooted. Broke newbie? Or secret rich young master with a weird sense of humor? She landed on, who cares, the second she did the math on her commission. 900 gold, minimum, into her pocket. She packed my myths into a cage. She even threw in snacks. I took the bus home. I live in Building 9, Unit 302, in a neighborhood old enough to remember better decades. My parents bought it with most of their life savings the year I got into the good high school. I cooked dinner, put it in the warmer like always, and shut my bedroom door. Click. Then I took out the cage, pointed my hand at 3 lizards worth more than the city, and pressed the button on a myth. Beast Pet Fusion. Activated. A panel opened just for me. 3 slots. 3 little lizard projections. 1 button underneath labeled Synthesize. So convenient it should be illegal. I pressed it. And immediately most of my mental energy drained out of my skull, leaving me hollowed out and dizzy, like I'd just run a marathon in my sleep. Didn't care. Couldn't look away. The 3 lizards dissolved into deep blue light, 3 orbs drifting together, merging slow. Meanwhile, across the city, everyone was having a much worse evening. Rush hour, Dongling City. People clocking out, walking to the light rail. Peaceful. Then an invisible wave rolled through town, and every single person stopped mid-step, hearts pounding for no reason. What was that? I felt something terrifying, just for a second. The light dimmed. Dark clouds swallowed the sky in the blink of an eye. And then, in summer, it started to snow. Alarms went off at the city guard headquarters. Guardian! Abnormal power fluctuation in the city. Danger rank. I know, the Guardian said, staring out the window. Red. Red danger rank means a disaster that erases a city. Dongling is a third-rate town. Red rank is the kind of thing that leaves a crater with the city's name on it. The Guardian is rank 4, the strongest man in the whole city, and looking at that snow, all he felt was helpless. Full alert. Every defensive array, full power, now! The great city shield, dormant for decades, buzzed to life and rippled over Dongling like a stone dropped in a pond. The crowd felt safe for exactly 1 second before the old buried memories woke up. The shield's up! Are monsters attacking the city? Who can help me? I don't want to die! And then, the roar. Everyone looked up into the worst thing they'd ever seen. A colossal creature in the sky. Wings that blotted out the clouds, azure scales, 2 great horns, a body so beautiful and cold it looked holy. A giant dragon! A dragon is a divine beast, minimum. A creature at the top of the food chain, holding power nobody can measure. And it was circling their little third-rate city like it was deciding whether the place was worth the trouble. It roared at the heavens, it circled a few times, and then it beat its wings once and vanished into the clouds, and the dark sky peeled away with it. Crisis over. Dongling survived. Happy ending for everyone. Yeah, right. The Guardian and every guild boss and conglomerate head in the city slid to the floor, legs shaking, and gave the exact same order through gritted teeth. Investigate. Find out why every single thing happened today. Meanwhile, in a cozy little neighborhood, in Unit 302, I had absolutely no idea I'd just terrified an entire city. I was staring at a glowing ball of light in my bedroom with the dumb, happy face of a man on Christmas morning. The light pulled inward. A creature took shape, like the dragon in the textbooks, but more slender, more elegant, wrong in the best way. A sense of the sacred hanging off it. Deep blue crystal scales, tiny wings, every line on them painfully perfect. 2 deep blue eyes blinking at me, confused and curious. So this is the extremely cold dragon, the ancient overlord. Also, she'd dropped the room temperature to somewhere around meat locker, and frost was crawling across my floor toward my feet. No time to admire her. Before the frost hit my socks, I reached out and hit her with beast-taming art. And thanks to that 1000% boost, a skill that normally takes patience and prayer landed instantly. 2 contract runes sank into our foreheads. I felt a wave of warmth and belonging. I also felt something wet. I opened my eyes. The world's rarest creature was licking my palm like a puppy. I smiled. From today, this little guy was the closest fighting partner I'd have in this world. Some things you don't say out loud, but I felt it. Little guy, put the divine ability away, you're freezing my floor. Then I pulled up her stats and gasped. Ancient Overlord, Extremely Cold Dragon, Ancestral Divine Beast, Age, less than 1 month, Level 1. And her 4 stats, Strength, Intelligence, Constitution, Agility, 500 each. At Level 1. That's the number a human hits after their second job advancement. She was a newborn, and she was already stronger than most professionals alive. Then the skills. 4 of them. Every single one, SSS. Frostbody, 100% immune to ice, 100% immune to water, 20% off everything else. Extreme Cold Breath, point her at a crowd, delete the crowd. Ice Hell, summon endless frost, and anything in it dumber than she is dies instantly. She's very smart, by the way. And Dragon Might, every enemy weaker than her just gets 10% weaker for showing up. 4 SSS skills at birth, and she gains 1 more at every growth stage: infancy, adolescence, youth, adult, prime, and final form. Do the math. At her final form, she'll have 10 SSS skills. I held my freezing little myth, and I fell completely, stupidly in love. Anybody who calls Giant Beast Master a trash class now is getting slapped. Every hidden profession in the world can step aside and wait its turn. I named her later. For now, I just held her while the frost melted off my floor. One broke high schooler and the strongest creature on the planet, hiding in a 30-year-old apartment in the suburbs. Somewhere across town, a rank 4 guardian was ordering a citywide manhunt for the dragon that appeared over Dongling for exactly 90 seconds and vanished. He was going to look everywhere. He was never going to check Building 9, Unit 302, where the world's only ancestral divine beast was currently trying to eat my dinner out of the warmer. Ask me again if the Giant Beast Master is trash. My stats jumped the second we contracted. All 4 attributes up 50 points each, 200 total. A level 10 Beastmaster suddenly punching like a level 20 Awakener just from standing near her. Because that's the whole deal with my class. The pet feeds me a percentage of its stats, and the stronger she gets, the stronger I get. 10% in infancy, 60% at final form. Here's the part that makes powerful families weep. A Beastmaster gets a fresh pet slot at every job advancement. 9 advancements, 9 slots. 9 pets grown to final form, feeding 60% each into one man. That's not an Awakener anymore. That's a natural disaster with a college degree. Which is also exactly why nobody plays my class. Pets don't level by fighting. They evolve by eating resources. Mountains of them. And an ordinary pet is expensive enough. An ancestral divine beast is going to eat like she's got a mortgage. So I looked at the strongest creature on the planet, sitting in my lap, and I understood my entire future in one word: money. I needed to make an obscene, unreasonable amount of money. Wah! She rubbed her cold little head against my hand, like she'd felt the worry come down the contract line. Little guy, from today, we're comrades. Life and death, the whole thing. I patted her head. Now let me think of a name that isn't embarrassing. She waved both tiny front paws, absolutely thrilled about the concept of having a name. You're a cute girl, so no Storm Dragon King. No Ultimate Destroyer. She looked so hopeful. You're Ice. Let's go with Frost Bloom. Wah! She spun in the air, delighted, named and thrilled about it. I put out my hand, serious. Let me introduce myself properly. My name is Li Chuan. From now on, we fight side by side, through everything. She placed one tiny dragon claw on my palm, amber eyes shining, the picture of solemn dignity. Her stomach growled. The dignity lasted about a second and a half. Then she hid her face in my arm, mortified, and chirped at me until I laughed and dug out the bag of ice crystal flowers the salesgirl had thrown in. F-rank magic plants, favorite snack of ice beasts, basically dragon kibble. I was in the kitchen prepping her dinner when my parents came home, and my dad walked in pale, with wet stains still on his clothes. My heart dropped, because I knew that look. That's the look of a man who'd been standing at a bus stop when the sky turned to winter and a dragon the size of a building circled his city. We sat on the couch, the three of us, and watched the evening news, my dad's favorite program. The anchor's face was very serious. The celestial anomaly and the giant dragon over our city were caused by an abnormal mutation in a pet beast's talent. Please do not panic, citizens. The red alert was triggered by accident. My lips did a thing. Because right, that mutation. That was me, pressing a button in my bedroom. I gave an entire city a collective heart attack by combining 3 lizards after dinner. Truly, she lives up to the name. Then the footage rolled. Blurry, shaky, an enormous thing hovering over the skyline while people collapsed in the streets. And in one frame that flashed by, I saw them. My dad, Li Guangming, holding my mom, Li Mei Ling, at a bus stop. My honest, gentle father, wrapping his arms around her, shaking. The screen went black before I could look closer. Dad had grabbed the remote. Don't watch it. The mayor and the guardian said it's nothing, so it's nothing. He forced a light voice. Aquan, how'd the ceremony go today? And I opened my mouth to tell them everything, the dragon, the myth, all of it. And then I looked at my father's face, still gray from the fright, and I closed it again. Not bad. First job change, Beastmaster. I kept my voice easy. Already sorted out a pet. The exam in a month will be fine. I didn't say the word giant. My parents are both Beastmasters. If I don't mention it, nobody can tell the difference. And I was not about to hand my terrified father one more thing to lie awake about. He lit up anyway, patted his own chest, proud as anything. Good, good. A combat class. With your grades, you'll get into a top university for sure. My mom didn't say a word. She just smiled with her eyes. To my dad, a university was the ceiling of the sky, the absolute best thing he could imagine for me. And I sat there and smiled and said nothing, because my target wasn't a university anymore. It was the 4 top schools at the summit of the whole country, the ones where the resource gap between tiers isn't double, it's tenfold, every step up. I'd contracted a myth. My horizon had moved. But I kept that to myself. Some surprises you save. You little rascal, plotting something again? Dad patted my shoulder. He didn't push. He's known me my whole life. I've always had a plan. Here, to celebrate the combat class. And he pushed a suitcase across to me. Inside were 4 pieces of gear laid out neat. A sharp longsword, boots of agility, a brave spirit necklace, tough cloth armor. The famous graduation 4-piece set, black iron grade, +5 to a stat each, 20 points total, basically nothing to a real awakener. It cost 100,000 gold coins, which is to say, it cost my parents everything they'd saved for years. Dad, Mom, my voice came out rough. You brat, you're about to graduate, why are you acting like a kid? Mom put her arm around my shoulder, smiling. We live simple. But we'll never let you go without something the other kids have. Go try it on. I held those 4 cheap pieces of iron in my hands like they were a divine artifact. Because to me, they were. My parents worked their whole lives for me. From here on, that flips. From here on, I take care of them. Some things you don't say out loud. You just decide them, quietly, and then you go make them true. Meanwhile, across town, the richest and scariest people in the city were in a room deciding how to find me. The mayor had called an emergency meeting. Every guild president, every conglomerate head, and the guardian himself. All of them still white-knuckled about the dragon. I'd like your thoughts, the mayor said, on the red alert. Nobody wanted to speak first, so they punted to the strongest man in the room, Zhou Yutian, the guardian of Dongling City. Rank 4 warrior, level 120. Tie every other person in that room together, and they couldn't beat one of his hands. Remember that surname. It's going to matter. He took a sip of tea. You're all being too pessimistic. He set the cup down. Our equipment and our experts agree. This anomaly was almost certainly caused by a pet beast with a mutated talent. He waved a hand. A projection lit the wall. Hundreds of meters long, azure scales, wings that ate the sky. So what we should be discussing is how to find him. That's a giant dragon, a rare ice type, epic tier divine beast at minimum. The whole room gasped, and every dejected, terrified face in that meeting turned sharp and hungry in the same second. An epic divine beast. Every man there was worth over 100 million and rank 3 or higher, and even they had to look up at that word. Because historically, anyone who owned an epic divine beast ended up rank 7 or above. A name the whole country knows. We find him, someone breathed. We befriend him at all costs. They spent the rest of the night scheming to recruit the owner of the epic dragon. They were aiming one full tier too low. It wasn't epic. It was the myth above the myth. And it was currently in my apartment, sulking because I'd told it to stop freezing the floor. 3 days later, I went to go make my money, and to keep an appointment I very much did not want to keep. Dawn Guild. 8 in the morning, and the hall was already a market. Contracts, recruitment, bragging. Need a level 30 healer, contract signed, 1,000 coin bonus, win or lose. Level 38 warrior, fully geared, offense and defense, experienced in the myriad beasts range. Any young miss interested, please contact me. The Adventurers Guild. The one institution that spans the whole planet, connecting every nation and every broke kid with a dream of getting rich in the wild. The map outside town is the Myriad Beasts mountain range, friendly on the edges after centuries of clearing, and progressively lethal the deeper you go, all the way down to things that could kill the Guardian. I know the place well. Before my job change, I used to quietly register here and take herb-gathering quests to help with the bills. Never told my parents, never told the school. Anyway, I walked in, thinking about whether a certain terrifying young lady was ready for the wild. She was ready. She was, in fact, standing at the front desk, radiating enough cold fury to earn Frostbloom's respect. That bastard Li Chuan. You promised to team up and you're late? Zhou Lin. Long legs, leather armor, deep blue longbow, a ponytail with opinions. In a crowded guild hall, she stood out like a crane in a chicken coop, and normally a girl like that gets swarmed. Except every guy's eyes slid down to the token on her waist, the one engraved Sue, and then found somewhere else to be very quickly. There's a saying in this city, decades old. The mayor and the Sioux govern Dongling together. Anyone who questioned it is long gone. Her father runs the city's fists, but the token scares off the commoners. It does not scare off rich boys. Zhou Lin, what a coincidence! A slick-haired young man oozed through the crowd, fake smile fully deployed. This is Wang Feng, only son of the Wang conglomerate. Flamboyant, yes, but not stupid. He'd pulled Frost Mage at the ceremony, one of the best classes of our year. And back at school, he was Zhou Lin's #1 professional simp. Heading to the wild? You don't seem to have a team. Come with mine. He'd brought a full 4-man squad. Warrior, assassin, priest, and himself. Decent bronze gear, faintly glowing. Top tier, for newbies. Zhou Lin turned, saw his face, and disgust crossed hers like a shadow. Roll. One word, cold as my dragon's breakfast. Wang Feng's smile froze, but he didn't get angry. Getting one whole word out of the school's famous Ice Queen was, to him, a historic achievement. He leaned in harder. You know how dangerous the wild is alone. You really don't need to keep everyone at arm's length. Not interested. She wasn't even looking at him anymore. She was glaring at the door, stamping one foot. That bastard Li Chuan. Is he really going to stand me up? And that's when Wang Feng, slow as he is, finally figured out the goddess was waiting for someone. His face went through several colors. He'd pulled a top-tier class. He was the most eligible genius in the city. Who could possibly be worth making Zhou Lin wait? So you've got someone in mind, he said, smile sharpening. May I ask which Dongling genius it is? That's when I walked in. Zhou Lin's eyes lit up the second she spotted me, and then she remembered I was late and slammed the door on that. Cold snort, stern face. This young lady has her pride too, thank you. Wang Feng turned to see who'd earned the Ice Queen's weight, and found a plainly dressed country boy who, 3 days ago, had pulled the single most laughed-at class in the entire ceremony. Oh, this was going to be good. I walked straight up to her. Sorry, traffic on the way. Humph. Cold snort. But a little flicker of smug crept through the ice. He actually apologized. To me, a young lady. Since you're being sensible, I'll forgive you today. Chin up, white and haughty. Let's grab the quest before the outer range fills up. and she spun and skipped off to the desk like the fury had never happened. I rolled my eyes at her back. I was 1 minute late. She's talking like I owed her a kidney. I took 2 steps, and a slick-haired stranger stepped into my path. Li Chuan, is that really you? Wang Feng pitched his voice loud for the room. A giant beast master, with no pet. And you dare walk into the guild to take a quest? Do you not know how to spell the word die? He landed on giant beast master like a game show host announcing the grand prize. The whole hall lit up. A giant beast master? No way, who's that unlucky? Most expensive class in history. A whole country couldn't afford to feed it. And there it was, the pity buffet, round 2. All these strangers looking at me with soft, sorry eyes. Such a handsome boy. Pulled the trash class. Tragic. I looked at the guy in front of me. Pale face, the specific complexion of a man who does not sleep alone and regrets it, dressed in gear that cost more than my apartment. I did the math instantly. This whole mess had a source, and her name was Zhou Lin. Who are you? His face fell off his skull. You! He genuinely could not believe I didn't know him. You're not the top student anymore. You're a trash giant beast master, and you dare act arrogant? He jabbed a finger. I'm warning you. Stay away from Zhou Lin, or you won't even know how you died. I looked at him, and, I'll be honest, I felt tired. So this is what she does to a man's life. She walks up to you out of nowhere, and to the entire world, you become the peasant climbing the ladder. The love rival. It's absurd. I was in the crossfire of a war I never enlisted in. I decided that talking to Wang Feng at length would be an insult to my own mouth. I stepped around him for the desk. He grabbed for my arm. Snap! I slapped his hand back before it landed, hard enough to stagger him. Then I pulled out a tissue, wiped my hand, and looked at him like I'd touched something at the bottom of a pond. I can't be bothered with you. Don't push your luck. The tissue was the part that broke him. His face went straight to red. This is a young master. Center of attention his whole life, never touched, never told no, and I wiped my hand off after making contact. Public. Deliberate. You dare hit me? His voice climbed. Do you know who I am? My father is a top 5 tycoon in this city. I'm the only son of the Wang family. You're a peasant. You want to teach me? The crowd was eating it up now. Young lovers fighting over a girl, free entertainment. So what? I said. You just described yourself beautifully. And your goddess still won't look at you. Stabbed him right in the chest. He came at my back, roaring, and a figure dropped between us. Wang Feng. I'll say it one more time. Get the hell away from me. Zhou Lin, eyes blazing. Li Chuan is the teammate I chose. You want to question him? You want to get beaten up? You're crazy! He was borderline hysterical now. Teaming up with that trash giant beast master. Look at him. He's still wearing a beginner's set. So what? She looked at him like something on the bottom of her boot. Even before his job change, Li Chuan was 100 times, 1,000 times better than trash like you. She didn't explain. She didn't argue. She just put herself between me and the mob and made her position the weather in the room. Then she turned, grabbed my arm, and hauled me toward the desk, every trace of the Ice Queen gone. And the whole hall lost its mind. A rich young lady, throwing herself, at a commoner, in public. People were openly questioning whether someone had cast a rank 4 illusion in the guild hall. It was, to them, physically impossible. The one thing keeping their brains intact was this. The commoner boy looked like he hated it. Which, yeah, I did. I felt the warmth on my arm and the faint perfume, and I frowned. This was fine at school, but in public? Zhou Lin, my lifelong innocence is going to die at your hands. Men and women shouldn't touch, I muttered, and slapped her hand off with visible disgust. Her hand got knocked away. Her eyes went wide and beautiful. A gentle smile spread across her face, and then she pounced. Missed. I'd seen the smile coming and caught her mid-air because I'd learned to read the warning signs of an incoming relapse. Is this ever going to end? Take the quest before it's gone. She didn't budge. She just scanned me head to toe, eyes sparkling. Knew it. Your talent is definitely not B-level. My stomach dropped. How did she... No. Deny everything. I shook my head, mouth open to lie. Ha! Li Chuan, are you making up an excuse for me right now? Then make a good one. Her lips curved. I'm a first-tier swift archer. My whole thing is speed. That lunge just now, I put no strength into it. A normal Beastmaster would have had zero chance of catching it. You caught it clean. And to prove it, she just opened her stats to me. Set her whole panel visible to my eyes only. Swift Archer, level 10. Talent Winds Mark, S rank. Wind Walk, Phantom Arrow, Rapid Fire. Her agility with gear pushing 60. She showed me her cards to catch me in a lie. This terrifying, spoiled, brilliant girl had figured out I was hiding something, and instead of prying, she just trusted me with her whole hand and grinned. Good heavens, I did not have time for whatever this was. Here's the thing about her stats, though. She was flexing. Her gear alone added 140 attribute points. That's a silver set, minimum, on a level 10 kid. Rich girl showing off in front of the working class. Meanwhile, thanks to Frostbloom, my 4 attributes already blew past hers, and I couldn't say a single word about it. So I did the only dignified thing. I refused to show her mine. You're speechless. Just tell me the truth. Forget it. You'll question your whole life when you find out. I turned for the desk. You're the worst! She chased me with bared teeth. She'd shown me her state secrets, and I was still hiding mine. Outrageous. She hopped after me, chirping, "Show me your panel! Show me your panel!" And I stayed strong. A gentleman does not fold under such small temptations. The whole hall watched the Shu family's crown jewel chase a peasant around a reception desk like a duckling. The envy was audible. Then we looked at the quest board. And oh, the quest board dreams big. Buy a twin-winged demon tiger cub, A rank, 2 million gold plus a warrior skill book. Harvest magic star grass, B rank, 1 million. 30 gale wolf claws, C rank, 500,000. One of those quests could feed a family for life, none of which I could touch. Each rank has a threshold, and the A rank tiger wants a full team of level 60s, because the tiger is a level 70 monster, and I am a level 10 wet paper towel. So I scrolled all the way down to the newbie section and picked something reasonable. D rank. Golden snake grass and golden scaled python gallbladders. 2 quests I could run at once. The python's a level 35 monster, which is 25 levels above me. The receptionist actually gasped. "Sir, the golden scaled python is level 35. Would you reconsider?" She could not bear to watch a handsome boy walk to his own funeral. "We've thought it through. Thank you." The whole hall turned to stare. A newbie taking a D rank with a 25-level gap. To them, it was suicide with extra steps. Are they crazy? Feeding themselves to the python? My first quest was killing 1 level 10 rat. And Wang Feng, marinating in resentment, latched on to the murmurs. Ha! A peasant with no self-awareness. Then, Zhou Lin signed the form without a flicker of hesitation, and something in his chest snapped. What spell did that bastard cast on Zhou Lin? Here's where our villain earns his screen time. He turned to his 3 lackeys and made a decision. They took the Python quest, we take it too. I refuse to believe 2 brats are stronger than my full team of 4. His squad exchanged looks. They figured the Shu family had secret rank 3 bodyguards on that girl, and following her into the deep wild was a great way to die. But nobody says no to young Master Wang. So they signed up, faces like their parents had died, to chase me into the woods. Remember that. He didn't have to come. He chose to. Now, about the Myriad Beasts mountain range. When the sky rebooted the planet, it didn't just add monsters. It added distance. Cities used to be a drive apart. Now they're farther than my old life's international flights. The range is 300 miles out, a whole primitive world bolted onto a tech one. No skyscrapers, just endless wasteland and forest and mountains lying on the horizon like sleeping dragons. Monsters from level 10 rats up to rank 3 apes that could bench press the Guardian. Paradise, if paradise wanted you dead. We got off the light rail and Zhou Lin looked around baffled. This is the Myriad Beasts range. It looks different from TV. This is just the outer edge. Us newbies and the unjobbed farm the bunnies out here. The scary stuff you see on TV is deep in. Oh, she blinked, then leaned in, delighted. I heard bounty hunters roam the wild, human scum who rob and murder lone awakeners. Have you ever met one? I touched my nose. Big sister. Before my job change. If I'd met a bounty hunter, do you think I'd be standing here? She missed the sarcasm entirely and got fierce. If any of them mess with me, I'll turn them into pincushions. I looked at her like she was an idiot, which she was being. Bounty hunters are scum, not stupid. In this city, robbing the Shu family's daughter is like hanging yourself because you feel you've got too much life left over. That token on her waist is a bigger threat than any monster. Then we hit the flea market, and I learned my teammate is a walking wallet with legs. The place was a bazaar of glorious lies. Clearance sale, 80 silver moongrass, not 998, not 888, just 668. And one guy running the oldest scam in the book. Our adventure team disbanded. The leader ran off with his mistress. Gear worth 500,000, yours for 200,000. And Zhou Lin's little heart broke for him. Li Chuan, this uncle is so pitiful, abandoned by his companions. Should I just buy his whole stall? 200,000 apiece, what a bargain! The way she says 200,000, you'd think she was saying 20 bucks. I knew exactly what those were. Defective junk dressed up with disguise scrolls, fake stats painted on to melt away in a week. There's no such thing as a free lunch and definitely no such thing as a 500,000 sword for 200. But some lessons only land face first. Sure, buy whatever you can carry. Though I don't think you'll close the deal. Humph, impossible. I brought the biggest storage gear from home, 1,000 cubic meters. I touched my nose again. 1,000 cubic meters. The cheapest 3 cubic meter storage ring costs 1.5 million gold. 1,000 cubic meters is a national budget item. This foolish girl was casually carrying a small country on her belt. So she marched up to the scammer, played it cool, picked up a piece. Only 200,000? Pack it all up, I'll take everything. And she whipped out a platinum card. The scammer's whole soul left his body. Platinum cards exist for maybe 5 people in the entire city. Then he clocked the Shu token, and he understood he was one bad decision away from disappearing. Ah, Miss Shu, terribly sorry, something's come up, can't sell today. And he rolled his fake gear into the tarp and sprinted away, leaving a small cloud. Zhou Lin stood there holding her platinum card, utterly betrayed. Li Chuan, did you do this? I was actively dying, trying not to laugh. Told you. You couldn't close the deal. I eventually explained the disguise scroll thing, which she'd apparently never heard of, which made me deeply suspicious about how she got her grades. And her offended little face lit up with justice. That despicable man, scamming people. And she peeled the Zhu token off her belt and stashed it. Now I'll catch these crooks red-handed and rot them in jail. I did not stop her. Partly because it was funny, partly because a lesson's a lesson. But the second that token came off her waist, a handsome middle-aged man across the market sighed to himself. 3 gold dragon marks embroidered on his sleeve, a rank 3, on the family payroll, on what was supposed to be a vacation. Why did Aylin take off her token? There goes my quiet holiday, and that brat knew exactly what her token does and didn't stop her. So, she had a shadow the whole time, and I just, accidentally, made his week much worse. We stocked up on survival gear and headed into the woods. Zhou Lin got very serious with the free adventurer map, plotting a careful route around 3 monster packs, goblins, wind wolves, taurens. I took the map and drew one straight line through all of them. Shortest distance between 2 points. Detours waste time. Isn't that dangerous? She said, and she wasn't wrong. Those packs run 100 deep. That's the point. We're here to level for the exam. Bigger monsters, bigger experience. I gave her a look. Unless you're scared. I'm not, she waved a fist. But you don't even have a pet, so don't drag me down. Then she slapped both hands over her mouth, mortified. I'm sorry, I didn't mean... It's fine. Everyone thinks the giant beastmaster is a punchline. She was just saying the obvious. Who told you I don't have a pet? She looked down, embarrassed. Li Quan, giant beasts are so rare you can't find one in the whole province. My dad said there are fewer than 5 registered in the entire country, all owned by rank 7 monsters. I don't want to hurt your feelings, but... Her voice trailed off to a mosquito whisper. She was genuinely trying to be gentle, worried she'd wounded me. That's the thing about her. Terrifying, spoiled, and somewhere under all of it, kind. You're not upset with me, are you? She asked, head down. No, I meant it. Everything you said is true, but I do have a pet. and I summoned Frost Bloom out of the beast taming space where she'd been going stir-crazy. Whoosh! Light. A palm-sized work of art appeared on my shoulder and immediately made a mess of my hair with her cold little paws, chirping in protest at being cooped up. Meet Frost Bloom. Frost Bloom stuck out one polite little dragon claw at Zhou Lin. Zhou Lin shook it on reflex, totally stunned, then looked at me, then at the tiny crystal lizard. Li Chuan, is this a giant beast? Of course. She's not just a giant beast, she's a dragon. I left out the words ancestral divine beast because that title tends to frighten children. Stop messing with me! Now she really didn't believe me. A dragon? Dragons are majestic, ferocious, the size of buildings. This thing was adorable and fit in her palm. You used a cheap contract scroll on a normal pet to trick me. But she's so cute. Where'd you buy her? I want one. And she scooped Frost Bloom up and hugged her to her chest, delighted, and shot me a smug little look. The boy's pitiful pride. I see through you. Stop being stubborn. I rolled my eyes so hard I nearly saw my own brain. I'm being sincere, and she's patting my ego like a good boy. You're right, I said. Let's go. Because some lessons only land face first, and hers was about 90 seconds away. She hugged my ancestral divine beast, smug as anything, and handed me a gleaming longsword from her storage ring like she was tipping the help. The golden-scaled pythons were waiting. All she had to do was watch. But before the pythons, we walked into a monster settlement, and my lesson got a head start. Oh, first, about that long sword she handed me. I checked its stats to be polite and nearly dropped it. Swift Wind Longsword, Silver Grade. Plus 30 strength, plus 20 agility, and 3 enchantments, stacking attack speed, a 5% boost to all my skills, and a 20% chance to fire a free second sword strike. This wasn't a hand-me-down. This was 4 million gold coins she'd pressed into my hands like a napkin. How is it? I picked it specially. I looked at her, and I felt my whole moral spine wobble. So this is the power of a rich woman. She'd invited me, geared me, and now she was funding my leveling, all while insisting through a blush that she just didn't want me to slow her down. Sure, whatever this was, I decided to just say thank you and return it when we were done. Some things you don't overthink. With the sword equipped, my strength hit 100 and my agility hit 95. At level 10, a number a normal first-job awakener doesn't touch even in a full gold set. Because I wasn't a normal awakener. I was a broke kid standing next to a myth. We set off, and behind us, 4 shiny newbies crept out of the trees. They went east, young Master Wang. Wang Feng had followed. Of course he had. Chase them. When the monsters swarm, you 3 cripple Li Chuan. Don't touch Zhou Lin. His plan was elegant, in the way of a man who's read too few books. Let the monsters and his lackeys break me, then swoop in and play hero to win the girl. He led his squad after us, grinning like the protagonist of a story he was about to lose. An hour in, we found the settlement. A pocket valley the size of a football field, full of green-skinned dwarves, fallen ones, level 15, cooking something in a giant pot like the world's ugliest summer camp. Timid on their own, but they never come alone, and this batch had 2 mutations running it, a level 20 strong warrior and a level 20 shaman. With those 2 around, hundreds of cowards become an army. Zhou Lin went serious. So, do we kite them one by one? No, with the mutations, kiting won't work. I weighed the sword. We charge in. Are you crazy? The fallen ones are cowards. Kill the 2 leaders fast, the rest collapse. She kept arguing. Too many bodies between us and the leaders. Her class isn't built to get surrounded, and I finally understood she thought I wanted her to do the charging. Big sister. That's insulting. You stay back and snipe. Frost Bloom guards you. You don't even have a pet. How are you going to decapitate anything? She genuinely, completely, not believed a word about my contract. To her, Frost Bloom was a pretty accessory, and I was a doomed idiot with a nice sword. So I stopped explaining. I stepped off the ridge and dropped into the valley like a cannonball. Li Chuan! She stamped both feet. Little Frost Bloom, your master is awful! She set the dragon down, told her to stay put where it was safe, and chased after me. Frost Bloom looked around, deeply confused. Where did the soft mat go? Then she flapped her wings and followed anyway because orders are orders. Down in the valley, dozens of fallen ones turned to look at the human who delivered himself to their doorstep. You could see the question on their ugly little faces. Do the humans do home delivery now? Then instinct kicked in, and they came screaming, drooling, thrilled. First time a snack had ever walked in on its own. Up on the ridge, Wang Feng started laughing. The peasants asking for it. Even a level 15 squad respects this pack. I won't have to lift a finger. Down in the valley, I unsheathed 4 million gold coins and got to work. The first fallen one reached me, and I opened its throat before it finished lunging. Then I was among them. I'm not going to pretty it up. It wasn't a battle, it was gardening. Every step, a body. Every flick of the sword, a corpse. A level 10 kid can't one-shot a level 15 monster. But I'm not a level 10 kid. Frostbloom's stats had me hitting like a level 20 with no gear. The sword did the rest, and 7 years of combat class meant every strike found a throat. 20 fallen ones dead in under 30 seconds. Up on the ridge, Wang Feng's laugh died like a duck getting stepped on. He stared. His 3 lackeys stared. And the lackeys started doing math. If the peasant does that to fallen ones, what does he do to us? Young Master Wang, maybe we call it off. Wang Feng threw a bag of money at them and hissed. Impossible. He dies today. Disobey me and I'll kill you all when we get home. Loyalty, in the Wang family, is a spreadsheet. Down in the valley, the corpses coughed up little balls of light. Experience points. Half flew into me, half into Frostbloom, and the bar filled, and warmth rolled up my spine. Level up. And here's the number that matters. I gained 10 free attribute points, standard. Frostbloom gained 50. To every stat. All 4. At once. She went from 500 to 550 across the board, just for existing while I killed things. I get 10. She gets 50. 20 times my growth. We are not the same species, and we are not on the same ladder. I dumped my 10 points evenly. With her stats feeding me, I don't have to specialize like a normal awakener. I just grow everything. And I saved my skill points, because 1,000% boost means I don't need to spend 1 on the skills I've got. Then I noticed my sniper hadn't fired 1 arrow. I ducked a claw and glanced back. Jolin was standing there, bow drawn, frozen, mouth open, watching me like I was a hallucination. Because in her head, a fresh newbie can't massacre hundreds of level 15 monsters. That's a crazy person's sentence. And here I was, strolling through it. Little Frostbloom, she whispered. Your master, he's a monster, isn't he? She'd invited me to mentor me, to pull the poor giant beastmaster up, and she was slowly realizing she'd hitched herself to the front of a train. Frostbloom, offended on my behalf, poked her in the cheek with a cold little claw. Foolish woman. Standing there posing and talking down my master. Are you going to be my cheerleader? I called. Snipe something or I'll finish these off myself. That did it. Humph! Cold snort, and she drew and loosed, and an arrow punched clean through a fallen one's heart and pinned it to the dirt. Sold out instantly. Then she shot me a smug look. A young lady does not lose to a peasant. And I just nodded. Because the rich girl with the special class hits like a truck. And a teammate like that means I never have to babysit. Humph, I'll steal all your monsters, she announced, and opened up like a machine gun, and the valley started emptying at a visible rate. Half the pack down, I walked up to the mutations, sword dripping. The shaman was a bony little thing that looked 1 cough from death. The strong warrior was the opposite, 6 feet of muscle, a bone club the size of me, red eyes locked on. Damn human! How dare you slaughter my people? These aren't dumb animals. Mutated fallen ones think like grown adults, which somehow makes it more satisfying. Don't be so life-crazy. I flicked blood off the blade. You'll be joining them shortly. That calm is what broke it. Every human it had ever met had been afraid. This one was bored. It roared and swung the club, a blow that turns boulders into gravel, the kind a level 20 warrior can't tank. I caught it on the sword, 1 thin silver blade against a bone club with a charge behind it, and I held it. Jolynn's warning about the ambush died in her throat as she watched a level 10 newbie arm wrestle a level 20 mutation and start winning. The club rose, inch by inch, out of the monster's grip. Haven't you eaten? I asked it. It roared and threw everything it had. The club flew out of its hands anyway. If that's all you've got, then die. Thrust. The blade went through its throat. The silver enchantment fired. 2 free sword shadows slammed its chest, and the level 20 mutation dropped like a puppet with the strings cut. A 10-zhang circle of empty ground opened around me as the surviving fallen ones remembered they had somewhere else to be. I stood in the clearing and looked up at the ridge to my left, where 3 figures had gone very still. Because during the club fight, mid-block at the worst possible second, an arrow had come whistling out of the shadows at my head. "I'm very curious," I said to the cliff. "Who gave you the courage to ambush me?" Yeah, I dodged it. Mid-block. I'd clocked the arrow the second it left the string and leaned my nose out of its way. I glanced up. 3 figures on the rock wall, one still lowering his bow. Familiar somehow. But I didn't have a spare second because the club fight and the ambush weren't done with me yet. The shaman had been watching, and it decided now was the moment. While I finished the last of the ordinary fallen ones, it hid in the crowd, weaving, staying behind its minions. Smart little thing. Then it aimed its staff and spat a beam of dark green poison at my back, fast as Zhou Lin's arrows. And at the exact same second, the 3 lackeys fired too. An arrow, a fireball, and the poison ray. 3 attacks, 3 angles, converging on me. "Li Chuan, watch out!" By the time she got the words out, they were 2 meters from my spine. I'd been waiting for this all afternoon. You don't fight a ranged monster and 3 shady stalkers without keeping a corner of your mind on your own back. The poison ray closed to under a meter. 0.1 seconds to impact. The shaman was already grinning, ready to watch me dissolve. Then my body did something bones aren't supposed to do. I twisted 10 centimeters left, feet stuttering through a pattern that made me look for half a second like I wasn't quite real. The poison ray hissed past and vaporized a fallen one behind me. The arrow and fireball followed it into nothing. 3 certain death attacks, 0 contact. The shaman's face froze. Zhou Lin and the 3 lackeys all made the same strangled noise. She's the number 2 student in the city. She knows the theory, and she named it out loud in horror. Combat hypersensitivity, butterfly step, and perfect body control all at once. Here's what she was looking at. The butterfly step is a rank 3 technique. Less than 1% of rank 3 awakeners can even do it. I'm a level 10 newbie, and I'd squared 3 advanced combat arts on top of each other because I'd found the full tutorial in the school library and drilled it in private for months. This was my first live test. Worth every hour. Zhou Lin just stood there swearing under her breath, the Ice Queen mask fully cracked. We're both geniuses, so why is the gap this big? Thank God his class is trash. If he'd pulled a normal job, I'd have been in his shadow for life. Down at the valley mouth, one more figure had gone very quiet. Wang Feng, who'd crept in to watch me die, had instead watched me no-clip through 3 lethal attacks. He was starting to have serious doubts about his life plan. So he did the tactically sound thing and hit himself flat against a fallen one corpse. I turned to the 3 lackeys at the base of the cliff. Now, let's settle up. The murderous newbies rediscovered their manners fast. "Li Chuan, we had no choice. Wang Feng made us. We didn't want to. For the sake of 3 years of classmate friendship, let us go." I laughed. Classmate friendship. I don't know a single one of your names. And funny how the friendship only came up after the monsters failed. "Where's Wang Feng? Tell me and I'll make it quick." "Li Chuan, let us go first and we'll—" Whoosh! His head came off mid-sentence. "You don't get to negotiate." The other 2 folded like wet cloth. "Outside! Wang Feng's outside the valley!" 2 clean strikes and that was that. In this world, kids who came to cripple me don't get a lecture. They get an outcome. We swept the valley mouth. Empty. No Wang Feng because he was currently playing dead in a pile of corpses about 40 feet away, and neither of us bothered looting fallen ones, so neither of us found him. He'd remember that later when I did. "That bastard isn't getting away. I'll tear him apart." Zhou Lin kicked a rock across the clearing, furious. I gave her a look, not because I doubted her family could erase the Wang name, that's just true, but because this girl went from horrified at monster killing to casually promising a family extinction in about 90 seconds. "What are you looking at?" she demanded, cheeks puffed. "Nothing. Come on, the shaman's getting away and I want to know where it's running to. Because that was the interesting part. The valley's a dead-end pocket, one exit, and the shaman had fled deeper in, toward the wall, which meant a hidden passage. And intelligent mutated monsters are treasure hoarders. Wherever it was scurrying, there was probably a reason. We found it fast. Behind a patch of weeds, a 2-meter cave mouth breathing cold air, the ground around it frozen solid. Smooth walls, scale marks pressed into the rock, not dug but bored through by something big. How'd you know it had a secret base? Jolynn poked me, delighted. I used my brain. You should try it. I cleared the weeds with my sword. The tunnel was too clean to be dug, and the scale marks told a story. 2 meters wide, scaled body, moves underground. This is a dark worm burrow, level 35 to 40. Ugly, big mouth, not actually that dangerous. Jolynn shrank back anyway, imagining the mouth part. I lit an illumination scroll and started down. 20 meters of slope, then it leveled out, and the cold got deeper. Jolynn went a little pale. I should mention, this girl will kill 100 monsters and casually threaten to erase a family from history. But a 5-meter bug? Terror. She doesn't flinch at corpses, she flinches at insects. I filed that away for later with great interest. Relax, the worm's already moved out, or that fallen one nest wouldn't be alive. She exhaled. Then, to prove she wasn't scared, she marched ahead of me into the dark, bow up, chin up. 5 minutes in, we heard it. Clanging. The unmistakable sound of a coward frantically packing to flee. The shaman was crouched over a spread animal hide, loading treasures onto it, muttering about the bigger tribe it would build and the 2 humans it would skin. It had to leave half its jars behind, which only made the muttering worse. It rolled up the hide and then noticed its glowstone had dimmed because the room had gotten very bright. Damn, humans, how did you find this place? You led us here, I shrugged, and in the scroll light, I got a look at its collection. Magic herbs, glowing ore, and 7 or 8 lumps of holy quartz. I looked at that little monster and saw a walking pile of gold coins. I'll fight you to the death! It brandished the staff, green magic pooling at the tip, that pungent stink filling the cave. Whoosh! An arrow took it in the chest and pinned it to the wall before the spell finished. It screamed, then my sword grazed its neck and the scream stopped. For everything you contributed today, I'll make it quick. You're welcome. Blood off the blade, sheath. 3 orbs of light rose off the corpse, into me, into Jolynn, into Frostbloom. Level up all around. Frostbloom hit level 5, and her stats jumped to 700 across the board. 700. At level 5, at less than a month old. And I broke 100 in all 4 attributes myself, which means a level 15 Beastmaster with no attack skills could now brawl a level 30 melee class and win, and crush anyone under level 20 one-handed. Though, looking at the rich girl next to me, that particular awakener might take 2 hands. What are you staring at? Want to spar? She'd caught the look. And here's the thing. A Gaz archer doesn't split experience with a pet, so she was 2 levels ahead of me. Level 17 to my 15. For the first time since we met, her number was bigger than mine, and she was fanned out like a peacock about to file a lawsuit. Forget it. I'm afraid I'd make you cry. I did not say that out loud, because if she learned the truth, she'd train herself into the ground, and I'd never get any peace. Hey, scared now? From today, the title of perennial runner-up is yours. She waved a triumphant little fist. First time she'd ever led me. She was living her whole life in that moment. Then Frostbloom flapped over to her shoulder, looked at her with enormous sympathy, and patted her head with one wing. Foolish human. So ordinary. So pitiful. Jolynn lit up. Lichuan, did you see? Even Frostbloom agrees with me. My face did a thing, because through the contract I knew exactly what my dragon was thinking, and it was not agreement, it was pity. Yeah, I said, she sure does. Let her have it. Let her wallow in that beautiful false world. I went to look at the loot. 6 moonflowers, 12 chunks of mithril ore, 23 mystery scales, a few thousand gold coins of D-rank material which I set aside, because 2 things off to the side made my eyes light up. 8 lumps of holy quartz, 80,000 gold coins, and a dusty book, a skill book, in a fallen one's horde. I appraised it. Instant sword, D rank. A general attack skill, dash forward a short distance, land a heavy slash. 10-meter dash, 10-second cooldown, upgradable. A 10-meter forward blink that also stabs. Used right, that's a teleport with teeth. I was very satisfied. What rank is it? Jolin peeked over, saw D rank, instantly lost interest. Just a D rank general skill? A D rank book sells for 100,000 and would make an ordinary awakener's week. But her dad had prepped her so many B rank books, she was drowning in options. I rolled my eyes. There's an old line among awakeners. There are no trash skills, only trash awakeners. I wasn't about to sneer at a free skill. You should sell it, she said, sidling up with a grin. Actually, my dad got me 2 B-rank skills that don't fit me. Call me sister, and I'll sell them to you for 2 gold coins. She winked. You've won the lottery, kid. 2 B-rank books, worth $1 million each on the market, for 2 gold and 1 humiliating word. I was genuinely tempted. Then I saw the scheming glint in her eye and understood the price wasn't 2 gold. The price was my dignity forever. Not a chance. Since you don't want it, it's mine. I handed her all the holy quartz, kept nothing, and used the skill book on the spot. Then I did the thing that makes my class quietly terrifying. I dumped all 50 of my saved skill points into instant sword and maxed it. 50 points takes a D-rank skill to its cap. That same 50 poured into a B-rank skill buys you maybe 1 level. Every level up gives 10 skill points, a drop in the bucket for high-rank skills. So while everyone else agonizes over feeding their fancy books, I take a cheap skill to max and unlock its final effect for free. And Instant Sword's cap effect was a beauty. Dash now 15 meters. And a second strike, I can fire the skill again within 2 seconds, back to back. A blink, a slash, and another slash. 50 points, a full combo. Jolin stamped her foot as I learned it right in front of her. You stinky bastard. Is it that hard to just admit defeat once? She scooped up her share and stormed off down the tunnel. I scratched my head, caught up, and dragged her deeper into the dark, toward whatever else was down here. Back up in the valley, Wang Feng woke up in a pile of corpses. He didn't see me anywhere. He almost cried with relief. He'd fully forgotten his master plan. My strength and the ruthless killing had given him a fresh new phobia, and he stumbled up to flee the scene of his trauma. Footsteps. He dove back into the bodies. 4 men walked into the valley. Different ages, different clothes, all with the same look. The look of people who hurt others for a living. They spread out, 2 meters apart, reading the carnage. Boss, what happened here? The scout had a pointed, monkeyish face and triangle eyes. He's a level 35 awakener. He isn't scared of fallen ones. He was scared of this. Half the corpses were one-shot kills, clean, no other wounds. Could a rank 3 have done this? Rank 3s don't have that kind of free time, growled the leader, a man built like a polar bear. Second-tier swordsman, maybe. Search. Then the scout found something better than a theory. A bundle of arrows. Special alloy, laced with magic metal, 100 gold coins each, minimum. And someone had fired them once and left them in the dirt. Which archer's this rich? Using them like paper? The boss's face changed. Because ordinary arrows cost 10 gold. These cost hundreds, and someone treated them as disposable. We might have hooked a very big fish this time. Then they found Wang Feng. Dragged him out by the collar, limp, blood-soaked, eyes full of despair. Because he'd just traded one nightmare for a worse one. This was the Hyena Squad, ranked 36th on the city's wanted list. 4 million coin bounty. A level 50 warrior boss, and 3 level 40 specialists, famous for leaving no one alive. Don't kill me, Wang Feng shrieked. I'm the Wang heir. I have money. I'll do anything. Remember when he chose to follow me into the woods to play hero? The woods had opinions about that. 3 days later, I was learning that my sense of direction had also made an enemy. Deep jungle now, canopy so thick it strangled the light, and Jolin hacking thorns beside me with the face of a woman filing a complaint. Li Chuan, I regret this. What? The route you picked is terrible. After watching Frostbloom's stats, she'd pictured a triumphant march to the python's lair, crushing everything. Instead, she got 3 days of wilderness survival. We fought plenty of monsters, but we spent most of the time fighting shrubbery. Her carefully chosen beautiful outfits were now rags. She looked like a feral woman with a very expensive bow. I touched my nose. Fair. My straight line looked great on the map. I'd just forgotten the map's shortcut ran through undeveloped wilderness with, technically, no road. Wilderness survival's a core awakener skill. Consider this training. It gets easier past this stretch. Heh. A man's words are lies. You said that yesterday. Her benevolent pity look sharpened, and she was about to tell me she wasn't so easily fooled when a shadow exploded out of the thorns and slammed into me. Bang! I went flying backward. Where I'd been standing crouched a leopard, 2 meters long, ink black, half a person tall. A level 30 shadow leopard. Li Chuan! She loosed an arrow to pull its attention. It flowed around the arrow without looking and kept coming after me on all 4 legs, fast as lightning, claws reaching for my throat. I hit the ground rolling and was fine. Better than fine. Half of that launch was the leopard. The other half was me, choosing to eat the recoil and ride it back to Jolynn's side. I'd reacted the instant it appeared. "You okay?" she asked, pale, staring at my chest. "Fine. Its head's not hard enough." She put an arrow through the air at its skull, furious now, and the leopard just blurred sideways and vanished the arrow, red eyes full of contempt. She'd never seen a monster dodge point blank. Neither had she expected it to be smart. But I'd already read it. Moved without a sound, hid its own presence. That's why I hadn't sensed it coming. Detection confirmed it. Mutant Shadow Leopard, level 30, skill, Shadow Walk. If its target had been Jolynn instead of me, this would be a very different story. A cold thought. Except it had made one mistake. In the shadows, waiting, it's a nightmare. Out in the open, its whole gimmick is dead weight. Pin it with ranged skills. Don't let it back into the jungle. Then I drew and blinked. Instant sword. I crossed the gap in a single afterimage and brought the blade down. The leopard barely met it with a claw, and its red eyes went wide as my strength poured through the impact and launched it. Fast prey and strong prey? It hated that. It flew, but it lashed its tail like a whip on the way. "Li Chuan, watch out!" Jolynn's arrow took the tail clean off. The leopard shrieked, fixed her with a look that promised a very personal grudge, and tried to retreat into the dark to reset. I didn't give it the chance. Falling with my own momentum, I stomped the empty air like it was solid ground and burst forward. Instant sword, double strike. The max level effect. I appeared in front of it like I'd teleported. It had just enough time to be astonished before the sword slammed it flat into the mud. Humiliated, it snapped its jaws up at me, but a leopard on its back with my boot on its plan isn't a threat, it's a joke. I ghosted the bite, and as its head passed by, I put the swift-wind long sword through its open mouth and out the back of its skull. The level 30 mutation swayed and dropped. Dead. "Li Chuan! Was my arrow timing perfect?" Jolynn bounced over, beaming. I glared at her. Her job was to pin the thing so it couldn't flee. Instead, she'd blown its tail off. A full shadow leopard pelt sells for 20,000 gold. Tailless, it's worth half. But she'd only done it because she was scared for me, so... Yes, you're the best. Insincere as hell. Her eyes curved into little crescents, and a dopey grin spread across her face. I rolled mine. Then the leopard coughed up its light, and 3 days of banked experience cashed out at once. Frost Bloom hit level 11, and her stats hit 1,000. 1,000 each, all 4, at not quite 1 month old. A level 60 warrior would get slapped into next week. Me, level 21, stats pushing 150 with no gear, double a rank 2's main attribute. And Jolynn, who doesn't feed a pet, was now level 25. 4 levels ahead of me. She noticed me noticing. Hey, jealous? Just give me Frost Bloom. All your monster experience becomes yours, and you'll catch right up to me. 3 years I'd beaten her in every subject. Now her number was bigger, and her vanity was doing victory laps. I looked at her for a long, quiet second. Trade my ancestral divine beast for some experience points. Foolish woman, what exactly do you think I'm holding? You can't beat me, I said. Silence. The sincerity of it left her nothing to argue with. Humph! She kicked the dirt, scooped up Frostbloom, and marched off ahead. The Ice Queen, gone, withdrawn. I touched my nose. Why are you walking so fast? If you think I'm wrong, refute me and I'll apologize. Roll! A tree branch came whipping at my head. I never want to talk to you again. And she stormed off. This girl, impossible to coax. Frostbloom peeked back at me from her shoulder, looked at Jolin, then at me, and gave a small dragon sigh. Humans are such a hassle. Meanwhile, 3 days back, the hyena squad had solved its own problem. They dragged Wang Feng along as a tracker, and he'd failed to find us for 3 days. The boss lost patience, dropped him in the thorns, and gave him one more morning to be useful. Then the scout found something better than Wang Feng: fresh arrows, undried blood. We'd passed through not long before. The squad lit up, and Wang Feng, lying in the dirt clutching his dignity, breathed a huge relief. Li Chuan. Just wait. The boss is going to like your handsome face. Then a shadow fell over him. Boss, catch them quick, they're loaded. He looked up, thrilled. Relax, the boss smiled. I'll have them both join you soon. Then he put a fist the size of a sandbag through Wang Feng's chest. You promised to let me go. The heir stared, dying, betrayed. You're untrustworthy. The boss flicked him aside like garbage. Let you go? Where's your integrity? Hyena rule, once we move, nobody walks away. He licked the blood off his knuckles and grinned into the dark. Let's go catch our 2 fat sheep. So that's the balance sheet on Wang Feng. He chose to follow me. He chose to ambush me. He chose to beg the wolves. Every single door he opened himself. He just kept walking through worse ones. By the time the sun set, Jolin was running on empty. Li Chuan. I can't walk anymore. Swift archers dump their points into strength and agility, not stamina. She's not a freak like me. I know. We camp after this stretch. Because the range at night is a different animal. The daytime monsters hide. The ones that come out after dark are apex hunters, kings of their own ground, and the ironclad rule of the wild is simple. You do not move at night. I found a tree thick enough to hollow into a 2-person shelter. The second I stopped, Jolin draped herself over my shoulder, boneless with exhaustion, until I pointed at the tree, at which point she cheered, scooped up Frostbloom, and sprinted for it with full energy. So you were faking. Good to know. I carved a hollow into the trunk with my sword. She squeezed in and patted the space. Li Chuan, want to come rest a while? No, too small. Which was true. The hollow barely fit 1. 2 people in there and you're each allotted less room than your own backside. I'll take the hammock and watch the perimeter. Sleep. We move at dawn. She said goodnight, a little deflated, and pulled the blanket up. And then she caught it. A flicker of light in the dark. Li Chuan, is someone over there? I looked. My face went flat, because someone was taking the exact same miserable off-map route we were at night when nobody sane moves. Nobody takes this road, unless they're following someone who did. What do we do? She whispered. If they get closer, they'll see us. I touched my nose and felt a small ache start behind my teeth. Changing camps now, in full dark, was dancing on a knife's edge. Staying put meant whoever that was would walk right into us. 4 lights, coming our way. And I was fairly sure I already knew whose they were. Let's wait, I told her. Ordinary adventurers we leave alone. Otherwise, prepare to fight. Isn't that a bad idea? She whispered. There's no law out here, but we can't just kill people, can we? I gave her a long look. I said fight, and you jumped straight to killing. Oh, young lady, broad horizons. I decided to file her under Wolf Exterminator and never, ever offend her. The lights reached us, and a big man built like a polar bear called up into the tree, all friendly. Friends up there, getting dark. Mind if we keep you company? I poked my head out. Not convenient. Find another spot. His 2 thugs bristled. He patted them down and smiled up at me, and his eyes crawled over my face with a collector's greed, the look of a man appraising something he wants to own. My tailbone reported a chill straight up my spine. Something is wrong with you, buddy. Since you understand caution, he said warmly. Goodbye, then. And a shadow slid up the trunk like a snake. His second in command, First-tier assassin using Shadow Strike. Glide up through the shadows, land a killing blow, silent the whole way. Dagger already reaching for my chest, cold eyes half regretful, thinking he'd have to leave me a clean corpse or the boss would complain. I didn't have time to think. I just slashed, and put a skill behind it. Instant sword. My blade teleported into the dagger's path, and the two rang off each other in a shower of sparks. And in that flash, I saw his face, and something clicked. He flew backward off the recoil and cratered into the ground. My arm went numb from the block, which told me one thing. This guy was at least 20 levels above me. You okay? I pulled a dazed Joe Lynn behind me. She still couldn't process how a friendly chat became a knife fight. Because that's how the wild works out here. The only thing you trust is your own weapon. Hyena Squad? The boss clapped, slow and admiring. Kid, your reflexes are excellent. Interested in joining us? And now I understood the creepy chill. He wanted to recruit me, or collect me. But here's the thing. I was looking at him the exact same way he was looking at me. His face just meant gold coins to me. 4 heads, 4 million on the wanted list, ranked 36th in the city. Suddenly, the disgusting stare felt very survivable. I'm extremely interested in your Hyena Squad, I said, smiling wide. Specifically, your heads. The second-in-command jumped up before the boss could answer, arm still numb, humiliated that a level 15 newbie had swatted him. But he didn't rush, he'd learned. The boss hated being interrupted. So the 4 of them spread out and surrounded the tree instead, front, back, both sides, the boss grinning at the head of it. Since you turned me down, kid, I'll follow the rules. Don't worry. I'll take good care of your body. Li Chuan, let's just run! Joe Lin's voice shook, and she fisted a hand in my shirt. She knew exactly who these people were. Run? I patted her trembling hand. Relax, they're the ones who should run. And I glanced at Frostbloom, who had gone very still and very bright-eyed at the sight of 4 fresh things to kill. Somewhere in that tiny crystal body, an old dragon's bloodlust had woken up. But they've got a second-stage powerhouse. We can't win. At school, this girl is a loud, fearless menace. Cornered by bounty hunters, she'd gone quietly, genuinely scared, and it would have made a great blackmail film if the timing were better. Relax. Did you forget I'm the giant beast master? Just because we can't beat them doesn't mean Frostbloom can't. Watch her work. Joe Lynn looked down at the palm-sized dragon in her arms. Little Frostbloom? Frostbloom chirped, chest puffed, radiating I'm a big deal energy. No! Joe Lynn clutched her tighter. Li Chuan, you're sending her to her death. If we die together. You can't feed her to them. She'll get eaten. I touched my nose. You genuinely did not absorb one word I said earlier. But I let it go, because I was suddenly very curious what your face is going to do in about 30 seconds. Down below, the boss decided to play with his food. You two seem close, so who's staying behind to cover the retreat? I'm generous. One of you gets a 1-minute head start. And as he said it, he flicked a signal to his second, whose body twisted almost invisibly. The reason he'd surrounded us slowly instead of charging was simple. He was scared we'd panic throw expensive skill scrolls. So he had his assassin set up a shadow clone, a decoy that lets the assassin swap places with it anywhere in 10 meters. 60 seconds, no defense, pure ambush setup. In a moment, he figured, the 2 fat sheep would have nowhere to run. Joe Lin's face crumpled. She glanced at me, gritted her teeth, and lifted her foot to go be the sacrifice. I grabbed her collar. Do you have a serious illness? If you could trust a bounty hunter's word, flowers would bloom on stone. I tucked her behind me and looked down at the boss with open contempt. Swaying us with words? Clumsy. I curled my lip. And running a shadow clone right in front of a kid who got a perfect score in magic fluctuation perception. Do you think I'm blind? Then I spun my sword and rammed it a foot deep into the tree trunk to my left. The shadow there writhed, hissed, and burst into green smoke. A defenseless decoy, crushed instantly. The second-in-command's jaw dropped. Even the level 50 boss couldn't pinpoint that clone. A level 15 newbie had just skewered it on the first try. The boss's eyes went bright with something worse than greed. Real admiration. Such keen insight. It'd be a shame for you to die here. He smiled, and his whole polar bear frame did a slow, unsettling shudder. Think it over. Kill the woman, join us, and I'll give you anything you want. Even his own 3 teammates edged away from him. That hobby is a war crime. Behind me, Joe Lin stammered. Gao Li Chuan, does he like you? Would you consider it? I nearly fell out of the tree. A minute ago, she'd offered to die to cover my escape and my heart had nearly melted. Now she was brokering me to a bounty hunter. That's it. That's the ceiling of our friendship. You brat, do you want to die? And I plucked the very impatient Frost Bloom out of her arms and threw my ancestral divine beast at 4 wanted criminals. Frost Bloom, kill them. No! Jolynn shrieked, watching the little blue shape sail away. You heartless monster, you sent her to die! Run! Don't waste the time she bought us! She grabbed my arm and hauled with everything she had. I did not move a millimeter. I stood there like an old tree with roots, watching, because I was not going to miss her face. Down below, the hyenas tensed at the flying blue shape. Careful, might be a skill scroll, the boss barked. Then it got close, and they saw it wasn't a scroll at all. It was a palm-sized crystal lizard with tiny horns and tinier wings, adorable enough to make a schoolgirl squeal. The boss's fury hit the roof, scared, by a pet. Grab it, I'll stew it tonight. And all 4 charged the toy. Frost Bloom chirped, thrilled. Finally, something almost worth playing with. She flapped straight at them, and the boss grinned and raised his sword to split the cute little thing in half, and his pupils shrank to pinpricks. Ow! The chirp became a dragon's roar. Her tiny body detonated outward, and in a single blink, she was 5 meters of ancient overlord, and the whole forest dropped into winter. The moisture in the air froze. Frost sheeted every tree. The 3 thugs never got to finish their thought. A wall of wind off her wings picked them up and threw them. Hang, bang, bang! They hit the ground, coughing blood, ribs already snapped, and to their credit as professionals, they staggered back up, hunting for what hit them. Then they saw it. A creature out of a bedtime story hovering in the dark. Deep blue scales, coiled horns, a 7-meter wingspan, 1 lazy flap stirring a blizzard. A dragon. A giant dragon! The boss's soul tried to leave his body. That unremarkable little pet was a divine beast. He'd been about to make soup out of a myth. What did we do to deserve this? His 3 men just shook on the ground, because 2 flaps of those wings had already broken half their bones. Up in the tree, Jolynn stared at 7 meters of legend. The dragon claws, the horns, the wingspan. This was the Frost Bloom she'd been needing in her arms for 3 days. It read like a fantasy. And then Frost Bloom opened her mouth for her first ever battle, and I watched her decide to make it perfect. Frost gathered into a ball of azure cold, radiating power that bent the air. Then she tilted her head and let it out. Extreme cold breath, a beam that swept across the 3 thugs. The world roared. A chasm opened where the beam struck, and the 3 level 40 awakeners inside it were torn apart before they could scream. 1 breath. 3 first-tier professionals. Gone. I clenched my fists, buzzing. She did not disappoint. The boss survived only because he dodged, and he knew it. 1 flinch slower, and he'd be red mist with his men. It took him a long moment to understand that a 2nd-tier warrior like him simply could not exist in the same story as this thing. So he started quietly backing away, and a pair of deep blue vertical pupils dropped into his path. He hit his knees so fast it left a dent. I was wrong. I was blind. Any price, please, spare me. Dignity, face, money, nothing on that list beat staying alive. He finally understood in real time exactly how all his victims had felt. He dumped his entire fortune on the ground as an offering, kowtowing at my dragon like she was a shrine. Frost Bloom looked back at me, and I swear her big jewel eyes went sad, like someone was about to take her toy away. I smiled, as if I'd ever steal her toy. Play as long as you want, just don't break this one like the other 3. He's worth money. From now on, his head buys all your snacks. The boss's offer? Ignored entirely. Pay for his life? Please. The only good bounty hunter is a dead one. He read my silence correctly, and despair swallowed him whole. And then, because a cornered rat still bites, he grabbed his sword and lurched up. You think you've got me? You'll pay for this. The dragon was clearly still a baby, not the mountain-sized thing from the legends. Maybe, he thought, he could still run. A shadow fell over him. Frostbloom flapped down beside him and swung a dragon claw the size of a millstone and gave the level 50 second-tier boss a good, thorough spanking. Bang! He didn't even get his hands up. The blow spun him through the air and folded him into a rock wall, embedded like a fossil, coughing blood, roughly 17 or 18 ribs newly rearranged. And where he'd been standing, my dragon flexed her claws, delighted, having the time of her little life. I took a second of silence for him. A level 50 was supposed to at least let her stretch. He didn't even manage that. "Hey, snap out of it!" I patted Jolin, who was still buffering. "Now do you believe me?" She turned to me, eyes full of disbelief. The arrogant Li Chuan had contracted a giant beast, not just any, the pinnacle, a dragon. She thought back to 3 days of squeezing Frostbloom's cheeks and looked like she might faint. "That's a divine beast. I sat on it. I needed it. Tell me the truth. How did you contract Frostbloom?" She stepped in until her nose nearly touched mine. "There are barely any divine beast dragons in the whole country." I rubbed my nose and lied like a rug. "Bought an ice lizard at the free market, took it home, used beast-taming art, and it mutated into Frostbloom. What can I say? Handsome boys are lucky." I put on a deeply smug face, because I was never going to tell her the truth, that I'd fused 3 of them, that Frostbloom wasn't a divine beast, but the myth above the myth. That secret dies with me. "Lucky. Because you're handsome." She grabbed my face in both hands and forced me to look her in the eye, her own eyes glittering with menace. "Which pet shop? Don't lie, or I'll come to your house and cause trouble every single day." For 1 second, the carefree girl vanished, and something regal and terrifying stared out, noble, aloof, a queen. Then she sprayed spit in my face. I pushed her cheek away and wiped mine with my sleeve. "Could you please be more hygienic?" And the queen collapsed. Her whole face went red, ears included, and she buried it in her hands, dying of shame, while I gently wondered if she needed Frostbloom's medical attention, because steam looked ready to come off her head. Somewhere out in the woods, a rank 3 family bodyguard on vacation was very glad he hadn't seen any of this. Down below, Frostbloom was still playing catch with the boss. A dignified, level 50 second-tier awakener batted back and forth between 2 dragon claws like a beach ball, at 1,000 points of strength with 0 restraint. A dozen swats in, most of his bones had filed for early retirement, and he'd gone soft and round, more ball than man. I had to step in before she pulped him. "Okay, Frostbloom, enough fun." Then I walked over and took his head myself. 4 million gold coins, bagged and sealed. Frostbloom sobbed. Her toy was gone. Big jewel eyes, maximum betrayal. "Be good, I'll take you to the amusement park at home." I said it while looting, distracted, and she chirped in pure offense, neglected, and flapped off in a huff to Jolin, shrinking back to palm size on the way. She dropped into Jolin's arms, and Jolin, who had just watched this creature vaporize 3 professionals, froze solid. If I annoy her, will she bounce me like a ball too? Then Frostbloom nuzzled up looking for snacks, and Jolin's heart shattered the other direction. So cute. I'm kidnapping this dragon. She dug out her most treasured jerky. "You were amazing today. From now on, you work for me and I'll keep the snacks coming." Frostbloom patted her shoulder with a wing, deeply satisfied. "Deal. You handle the snacks. As for actually obeying you, ugh. This jerky's good, though. I'll save one for the owner." And she palmed a packet for me. My dragon's got priorities. The 3 vaporized thugs left nothing to loot, so the whole haul came off the boss. 4 items, all glowing at least bronze. I cracked the appraisal scroll like a blind box. A green edge blade, silver, level 45. Steel chainmail, bronze. A silver moon pendant, silver, level 15. And a spatial ring, a 5x5 meter storage space I'd been dying for. The blade and armor were level 45. Too high for me now and easily worth 2 million on the market, so sell later. The ring I kept and immediately stopped hauling a giant backpack around like a peasant. And the pendant, with its attack speed and ranged bonuses, was clearly made for an archer. So 4 million bounty, 2 million in resale, and I kept the 2 best pieces for free. 6 million coins in one afternoon. The myriad beasts range really is a gold mine if you don't die in it. I climbed the tree to deliver the pendant and found Frostbloom face deep in snacks, mouth shiny with oil, all imperial menace gone, a full-time glutton now. "Eat less, you'll get a stomachache," I said, poking her round little belly. She shot me a resentful look and kept eating. "This is for you." I held out the silver moon pendant. Jolynn's eyes went huge and her face went pink. It's a genuinely beautiful piece, that hazy silver glow, the kind of thing a girl loves even with bad stats. Isn't it too expensive? I'm not ready." She twisted the hem of her shirt, panicking about something entirely different than equipment distribution. "Good grief, what are you imagining?" "It spoils. Consider it your battle share. You'll get a cut of the rest when we're back in the city, too." Ah. The romance drained out of her face, replaced by a small, unmistakable disappointment. "Then, maybe I shouldn't. I didn't really help in the fight." She ducked her head. "The girl is self-aware, but we're teammates. You not taking your share makes me the guy who pocketed everything." "You're dawdling like—" I dangled it at eye level. "Do you want me to put it on for you?" Her head snapped up an octave too fast. "May I?" Hope, undisguised. "You wish." I set it down and went back to fixing my hammock. And behind me, having quietly, carefully stored the pendant, Jolynn came hopping over like a rabbit to help. 15 days into the range, we finally reached the golden-scaled pythons. By then, watching Frostbloom work had become the main event. A 5-meter dragon flickering through the forest, each landing sending shock waves that shook 20-meter trees. A single claw split a golden python in half and snapped a full-grown tree like a toothpick. Jolynn shuddered every time. The little thing she cuddles could flatten her into a pancake without trying. The problem was that Frostbloom was having too much fun. She kept forgetting she had a job. "Frostbloom, stop playing, finish them, we're short on time." I had a college entrance exam in under 2 weeks and no interest in explaining to my parents why I missed it. She snorted, deeply aggrieved, and glared at the remaining pythons like they'd personally wronged her. "Big toys. Guess I have to say goodbye." She stomped a hind leg, an invisible wave rolling out, and opened her mouth. Cold energy gathered, staining the air blue. The pythons felt the crisis coming and started to retreat. Smart snakes. And Frostbloom's eyes went contemptuous. She breathed. A beam of azure cold 1/2 a meter thick swept out, and the pythons flung their massive bodies sideways to dodge, and didn't move. Their bellies were frozen to the ground. Blue ice crystals had crept up around them without anyone noticing when. Then the extreme cold breath hit, and the pythons froze solid and shattered, these powerful mutated monsters reduced to glittering dust. Because just before the breath, Frostbloom had quietly laid down ice hell first. Freeze them in place, then delete them. My infant dragon was already comboing her skills, smug about it, and I hadn't taught her a thing. "Well done. Now stop posing, we're leaving." She deflated instantly. "I am not posing, I'm a dragon." Then, flying back, she spotted a glint in the python dust, rummaged with 2 claws, and pulled out a small box wrapped in a silver-white bubble of light. A silver treasure chest. I nearly cheered. Those drop guaranteed silver-grade gear or equal-value materials, and one had just fallen out of a mutated python. "Little guy, you're a lucky charm." I took it, slapped away Jolynn's incoming grab, and we found a cave to open it in private. We blocked the entrance, lit a scroll, and huddled around the box, me, Jolynn, and one dragon secretly hoping it was full of snacks. I put my hand on the lid with great ceremony, and Jolynn grabbed my wrist, dead serious. "Wait, are you lucky?" Silver chests are guaranteed silver, but the range is huge. Bad luck and you pull the trashiest, lowest-tier silver in existence. My hand froze. Old wounds reopened. Who among us hasn't dropped 10,000 on a gotcha and pulled 0 SSRs? This was my first ever silver chest. "Are you lucky?" "Of course." She lifted her chin and radiated light I could not look directly at. "You know that ultra-popular Summon Great Master card game? I have a full set of pets, and I've never recharged a single coin." I had to look away before I went blind. I don't play it, but I know it. A slot machine dressed as a game, 10 free boxes a day, drop rates from the void, whales spending tens of millions and still not completing the roster. And this girl, free to play, collected everything. That's not luck. That's a curse aimed at physics. Then you open it. Behold, the moment of miracles! She pressed her hand to the box, whispered a prayer, and crushed the silver membrane. 3 lights burst out. My mouth fell open. 3 items from 1 silver chest. The odds are worse than a lottery jackpot. She did it like she was checking the mail. I bow to you. I surrender. 2 pieces of gear and a skill book. Boots of speed, silver, plus agility, a movement boost, and a mid-air dash. Shadow staff, silver, plus 50 intelligence, a magic boost, and a built-in shadow orb attack. And each piece had 3 enchantments, which is absurd. Top-tier silver, every one worth $1 million on the market. I tossed her the boots, the air-step suits an archer, and 30 agility doesn't move my needle anymore, and kept the staff because a free-ranged attack is a free-ranged attack. Then we cracked the skill book. Wind Blade Technique, C rank. An actual C rank attack skill out of a python's corpse. Her reputation as a lucky monster is now official policy. If you can't learn it, then I won't be shy. I slapped it onto myself before she could argue. 2 magic skills now. From today, I'm a noble mage. My class skills are all pet support, useless on me, so every attack skill I scrape together, I treasure it. Instant sword, shadow orb, and now wind blade. 3 ways to hurt something. I poured 100 saved skill points in and took wind blade to level 5. 1 blade became 2, double the power. 15 days in the range had me at level 30 with points to burn. And then Jolynn went quiet. She'd leaned against the rock wall, watching my profile while I studied the skill, and for a second a small smile snuck onto her face. This guy's actually good-looking from this angle. Then the smile faded, because she'd done the math. This blockhead had contracted a giant beast, the Dragon Clan, the top of the top. In the college entrance exam, he was going to soar, and she wouldn't be soaring with him. Her whole plan had been simple. Team up for the exam, pull his score up, land in the same university, stay near each other. And her swift archer, best in the city, was, she knew honestly, only good enough for a first-tier school somewhere in the national top 100. A month ago, that had felt like a triumph, because a month ago, Li Chuan was a trash beastmaster aiming maybe at a third-rate college. Now he was aiming at the 4 schools at the summit of the country, where only the top 3 to 5 students in an entire province get in, where every single point matters. If she teamed up with him now, she wouldn't lift his score. She'd drag it down. And she'd feel guilty about that for the rest of her life. So, that bastard flies to the top, and I get left behind, further and further, and never catch up. She didn't say any of it. She just sat there in the cave light, poking her twig at the shadow I cast on the ground, muttering a small, fierce curse. I hope you never get into a top university. And I honestly thought she was having another episode. I didn't know what she was actually chewing on. That's the thing about her. Loud about everything that doesn't matter. Silent about the things that do. I took first watch and told her to sleep. She ignored me, glaring at the wall, and eventually dropped off mid-grudge. I caught a rabbit that night and kept the fire low. Sometime before dawn, she stirred, groggy, and found the cave empty, me gone, frost bloom gone. Then she realized there was a blanket over her, one that wasn't hers, one that still smelled like soap. This guy actually cares after all. Her eyes did something complicated. Then I walked back in with a rabbit and started cleaning it, and she asked why I was up so early, and I looked at her, deeply tired. Big sister, I haven't slept. You were out like a log all night. Some things you don't announce. You just put a blanket on someone and go catch breakfast. Nearly a month later, we walked out of the range, and every head at the entrance turned. 2 teenagers, sharp-faced, too hard-eyed for their age, looking like they'd crawled out of a war. Finally out. A month in the wild had felt like living on another planet. Great. Now you can finally shower, Jolynn said, stepping pointedly away from me. As if you smell like roses, I shot back. We'd both gone full feral. Only the level-ups had kept 2 modern kids from quitting. And the level-ups were something. Frost Bloom, level 25, 1700 to every stat. A rank 3 Awakener would die under her claws now. Me, level 35, stats past 250, evenly spread. I could beat the hyena boss again without Frostbloom lifting a claw. And Joe Lynn, no pet to feed, had hit level 40, the first job cap, one ceremony away from her second advancement. Exams in 3 days, she nudged me. What's your plan? Finish the quest, settle the loot, stay home with my parents till it starts. Oh, a flicker of disappointment, quickly buried under her usual grin. Don't you dare pocket my share. I'm looking forward to sitting home and counting gold. Then she stopped. Actually, after the exam, you won't find me these next few days. A magic hover car swooped down. Joe Lynn got in, and that wicked little rich woman did not offer me a single seat. Guess it's the light rail, Frostbloom. The dragon watched the car leave with open longing. Her snack lady was gone. I poked her head. She covered it with her wings, offended, then peeked out to check why I'd stopped poking. In the back of that hover car, Joe Lynn was quiet. Uncle, do you think the gap between people is really that big? Beside her sat a lazy-looking young man, Shu Haoran, her uncle. The rank 3 who'd been shadowing her the whole time on his ruined vacation. So the range gave you some life lessons, he said, gossip in his eyes. This about that kid? She pouted, sullen, and he understood, and he was pleased. I told you long ago there's a huge gap between you two. I kept this trip secret from the family so you could go learn it yourself. He patted her shoulder. It's a small setback. You've got a long road. You two are from different worlds. She said, watching the scenery blur past. We're definitely not on the same level anymore. And she thought about a dragon crushing monsters, and a boy with an endless supply of impossible combat skills, and something small in her went dim. Her uncle looked deeply satisfied. No future for you two, worth the beating I'll take from your father. Because that's the thing I didn't know yet. The family didn't want us anywhere near each other, and the uncle had just spent a month quietly making sure of it. Meanwhile, I walked into the Dawn Guild, and the whispers started. Isn't that the handsome kid who took 2 D ranks last month? He came back alive. My face is apparently memorable. Lucky, a newbie surviving a golden python quest. Or he failed and came to cancel. And then, the one that made me stop. Wasn't there a pretty girl with him? Did she die out there and he ran back alone? The whole hall picked it up like a chant. Abandoning teammates is the single most despicable thing in the wild, and a room full of strangers had just decided that's what I did. I don't usually care what a crowd thinks. That guess I cared about. Don't invent stories, I said, and let the temperature in my eyes drop, or I'll sue every one of you for defamation. The whole front row stepped back on instinct. They felt the killing intent, then went red, furious at getting spooked by a kid. Before they could work up a revenge, I set a severed head on the front desk. Could you settle my quest? And I'd like to collect the bounty on the hyena squad. The words hyena squad hit the room like a spell. That's the hyena boss's head? A newbie killed a level 52nd tier? The hyena squad had sat on the wanted list for 5 years. The city's own hunter teams couldn't catch them. And a kid who'd changed jobs a month ago dropped their leader's head on the counter like a grocery receipt. The gossips who'd called me a teammate killer went pale and slithered out the door. Everyone else looked at me with a brand new expression. This one is not to be messed with. 4 million in bounty plus resale, and I walked home with 5 million gold coins in my ring and a very different reputation behind me. I opened my front door expecting an empty apartment. Both my parents were sitting in the living room. They'd taken leave. The exam's in 3 days. We want to spend it with you. My dad walked into the kitchen he's been banned from since the great salt-fried eggplant disaster, to make me a new dish he'd learned. Something was very wrong. Then my mom, cuddling Frostbloom like a house cat, got to the point. Aquan, I heard you changed to Giant Beast Master. There it is. They'd been lying in wait. I told them not to worry, I had a pet. They did not believe me. Aunt Zhao's kid had told the whole neighborhood that a giant beastmaster needs a giant beast, and there are 5 on the planet. Don't tell me this thing is a monster, Mom said, squishing Frostbloom's cheeks. Look at her. No fighting power at all. She's cool, though. Haven't needed the air conditioner. She'd been using an ancestral divine beast as a summer appliance. She's a dragon, I said, exhausted. Mom rolled her eyes and poked the dragon's belly. This chubby thing? A dragon? Frost Bloom bit her finger. Mom, unbothered, poked the dragon's teeth. Mom, you put your hand in a dragon's mouth. You are the strongest being I have ever met. Speechless now? She patted Frost Bloom and set her on her lap. I know you're proud and you didn't want us to worry, but you don't have to lie. Even a giant beastmaster is stronger than your dad and me, two normal people. Just do your best in the exam. Then she slid a box across the table. A little gift. I opened it. A bronze ring, faintly glowing. Bronze-grade equipment, worth hundreds of thousands. My eyes went hot. Mom, this. The starter four-piece set had already emptied our savings. There was no way they had this kind of money. You mean, were your dad and I so stupid we never knew the house could be mortgaged for so much? The box turned to a mountain in my hands. They mortgaged our home. For a ring. For my exam. Mom, I told you I didn't need it. Why? I pushed a card across the table. This is what I earned in the range. Redeem the house. Now. She rolled her eyes, chuckled, and took it. How much is on here? Save it for your wedding. 5 million gold coins, I told her. She froze. My dad shouted from the kitchen that we don't do crimes in this family. It's from quests, I said, having fully seen this coming. And then the two of them sat me on the couch and interrogated me like a suspect. Because a kid earning 5 million in a month is rank 3 money, not honest teenager money, and honestly fair. Mom eventually rescued me by dragging Dad aside and whispering that I'd gone out with a classmate, the Sue girl, which made Dad jump an octave and look at me with total disappointment. And I sat there entirely innocent of whatever movie was playing in their heads. Return the ring tomorrow, I said, heading for my room. But bronze gear improves your exam score. I looked back at them, at the two people who mortgaged their home so their son could have one more edge. Dad, Mom, your son, even in full black iron scraps, is going to dominate that exam. 3 days later, I found out exactly how many people wanted to bet against that. The whole city gathered outside the school under a giant sky screen. Thousands of graduating students stood on the field, staring at a bronze gate, because the National College entrance exam isn't a written test. It's a secret realm dungeon. You go in, you fight, and your future is whatever you carry back out. The guardian Zhou Yutian announced the details, and the dungeon dropped into everyone's mind. Lava cave, bronze tier, difficulty, easy, normal, hard, hell. And the difficulty you pick is your ceiling. Clear normal, a third-tier college. Hard, second tier. Hell, a first-tier university. And to reach the 4 schools at the summit of the country, you need a perfect hell clear and a provincial top ranking. There's exactly one difficulty I could pick. I found Zhou Lin in the crowd, standing in a cleared circle of space, radiating a power that had everyone giving her a wide berth. You vanished for 2 days. Went to change jobs? Humph. Of course. I'm second tier now. She cuddled Frost Bloom and clenched a triumphant fist. Don't mess with me or I'll beat you before the exam starts. I rolled my eyes. You finished one advancement and you think you can fly. I could still drop you one-handed. I kept that inside. Since you're so strong, team up, we can take a third. She stared at me like I'd grown a second head. Isn't your goal a top university? A team lowers your score. That bit of score won't matter, because clearing hell would be a walk for me, and carrying a passenger changed nothing. Think it over. Good chance to cozy up to someone powerful. I was joking. She was not amused. This young lady doesn't suck up to anyone. She flashed her little tiger teeth and turned me down flat, partly so she wouldn't drag my score, partly because she wanted to reach the same university on her own 2 feet and then annoy me for the rest of my life. Her competitiveness is a natural wonder. All right, I'll look forward to it. Top universities are waiting for you. I meant it. Around us, the other students smirked. The trash, giant beastmaster got rejected by the goddess. Back in the gutter where he belongs. They didn't get long to enjoy it. The gate flared, Zhou Yutian called the exam open, and thousands of students vanished off the field at once. Up in the observation seats, the city's leadership watched a wall of thousands of tiny screens. A staffer reported the numbers. 11 Dongling students had chosen Hell difficulty, a new city record. The mayor beamed. 11 Hell runners might finally shed the third-rate city label. Only the principal looked ill. Principal Gao, Why the long face? 11 is wonderful. He hesitated. This year, 10 of our students are actually capable of hell. The extra one, the mayor's face cooled. Reckless, ignoring the school's guidance. Because hell isn't a bad grade if you fail, it's a coffin. The exam kills people. Pick a difficulty past your level, and you die before you can even tear your return scroll. Find me the fool disobeying his teacher at the college entrance exam. They scanned the screens, found him. Gao, Li Quan, the principal blurted. A giant beastmaster with no pet, in hell? Zhou Yutian's face went dark. Not only hell, he's running it in a full set of beginner iron. Everyone leaned in. Inside the dungeon, gear glows by rank, and among 1,000 students, one boy carried the dimmest black iron shimmer in the entire hall, running hell in the graduation starter kit. To every powerful person watching, it read as one word: suicide. Ask me again. Time and space folded, and I landed in a furnace. Lava cave, 5 meters high, cooling rock glowing red, live magma creeping across the floor. Frostbloom took one breath of the heat and complained violently. She's an ice dragon. This was her personal hell. Bear with it. Ice cream after we clear this. She perked right up and started planning our dessert route. Then her head snapped to the dark, pupils narrowing. 20 orcs marched out. 3 meters tall, blue-faced, fanged. 19 level 40 warriors and 1 shaman. Level 40 mobs off the jump. That's hell, all right. And I drew my beginner iron longsword. Not arrogance, strategy. The exam grades you on more than speed. With millions of provincial test takers, pure clear time would tie everyone, so the dungeon factors in your gear. Better equipment, lower final score. Ambitious students downgrade their gear to boost their rank. Nobody in 100 years has run it in the full beginner starter set. I was about to. The orcs roared. The shaman washed them in red light, blood boil, plus 10% strength, and 19 empowered warriors charged. Frostbloom, here we go. And I charged straight back. Behind the bronze gate, the leadership had already buried me. A petless giant beastmaster charging orcs head-on? He's tired of living. The mayor calmly narrated my death. I wouldn't even get to tear my return scroll. They looked away, not wanting to watch the mess. One person didn't look away. Li Hua, my homeroom teacher, watched her student charge 20 orcs and thought, "You can make a miracle. Don't you dare let me down." I closed on the lead orc, and it swung to flatten me. I dropped low, pushed off, and buried a knee in its chest. Something cracked. 3 meters of orc flew backward like a sack. Mid-air, I spun and swept the blade. 2 more throats opened. 3 down before I landed. 4 more came in swinging. I threw a hand up. Wind blade. 2 pale blue crescents shredded all 4 weapons and kept going, and 1 orc came apart at the middle. A gap opened, and the shaman was standing right in it. Opportunity. Instant sword. I blinked across the cave, and the shaman barely got its staff up to block and celebrated for half a second before I spun off it toward the warriors. It snarled and raised its hand to cast and found its staff broken in 2, and then the world tore in half. Snap. Shaman down. Behind the gate, Li Hua pumped her fist. Yes! The principal snapped at her to control herself, then followed her eyes to the screen. Holy! Is that Li Chuan? A reaper moving through orcs. 14 warriors left, and in under 20 seconds, all of them were on his sword. How is this the trash giant beast master class? Even Zhou Yutian leaned in, admiration cracking through. Efficient kills. Near-perfect combat awareness and control. This kid's got skills. The mayor perked up. One more top university student polishes his record. Guardian Shu, can he really clear hell? Possibly. In this state, he might. Then Zhou Yutian's face went cold. Court death. Because in the dungeon, I stood in a pile of corpses, wiped my blade, and walked straight into the next level without resting. Foolish, the Guardian snapped. Charging into a harder level after a fight, no stamina recovery? Suicide. And he had a point, by normal logic. Every other hell runner on the screens, Zhou Lin included, had stopped at the portal, chugged a recovery potion, caught their breath. Nobody walked in fresh off a fight. Nobody but me. As the strongest man in the city, His word was basically a verdict, and the room wrote me off again. Except Li Hua. Her eyes didn't move. They didn't know the truth. That first fight cost me almost nothing. Level 35, fed by Frost Bloom, I could fight level 40s all day. I'd only kept the sword out because the ceiling was too low for a dragon. I actually wanted the next room to be bigger. It was. Level 2 was a cavern the size of a football field, 30 meters to the ceiling, torches blazing off the walls. And 20 orcs, but bigger. 5 meters each, standing like small mountains. Orc berserkers, level 43. And this time, 5 shamans, not 1. They spotted me and all 5 shamans fired at once. Lava rays, 5 beams of superheated death, while 15 berserkers charged, muscles swelling as they went berserk. So eager to die? I stepped back. Frostbloom, you're up. She launched off my shoulder and unfolded in the air, and a dragon's roar shook 30 meters of stone. 5 meters of deep blue overlord dropped between me and the charge. The 5 lava rays hit her scales and vanished. Not a scorch, not a mark. Frostbody eats fire for breakfast. 15 berserkers slammed on the brakes. Something older than them, from the top of the food chain, had just told their blood to be afraid. Behind the gate, the whole platform lost its mind. Li Hua saw it first and shrieked. The principal snapped at her, then followed her finger to the screen and jumped out of his chair. Holy! What is that? The palm-sized thing on my shoulder had become 5 meters of legend. Deep blue scales, forked horns, a wingspan that filled the frame. Even on a screen you could feel the noble weight coming off it. A giant dragon? The principal's eyes nearly fell out. Beside him, a rank 4 guardian felt small. Zhou Yutian knew instantly, not a common elemental dragon, a rare ice dragon, apex divine beast minimum, rank 7 power once grown. Then it hit him. The anomaly over the city last month, that was this kid. He's had a giant dragon this whole time and kept it quiet. What is he thinking? The mayor stood up so fast he nearly fell, caught himself, rubbed his eyes, checked the screen 3 times. Then he started laughing like a man who'd won a war. A dragon! Dongling City produced a giant beastmaster with a dragon! He nearly danced. Because he knew exactly what this meant. After today, his third-rate city shakes off the label and vaults into the first-rate tier, maybe rivals the provincial capital. Get me everything on Li Chuan, now. I want his household registration kept in this city at all costs. I'd just become municipal treasure. Then the dragon moved. Not fast. She didn't need fast. 1 lazy step covered dozens of meters, and she was among them. 2 wing swats sent 7 or 8 berserkers flying with their chests caved in, dead before they landed. Then she waded through the rest like a tiger through sheep, claws and wings, and finished all 5 shamans with single strokes. 10 seconds. The whole level. Gone. 10 seconds for level 2? The platform gaped. Forget clearing hell. This kid's the provincial top scholar. Level 3 was more of the same. Bigger cave, more lava. 20 orc guards, level 46, red iron armor, the kind other hell runners bleed for. I didn't even bother with detection. Frost Bloom breathed. Extreme cold breath opened a canyon through their formation, 10 of them frozen to dust mid-charge, the rest thrown into the walls. Claw and sword cleaned up the survivors. 10 more seconds. 40 seconds, 3 levels. The rest of the hell runners were still playing hide-and-seek with level 2. Frost Bloom rubbed her enormous head against me, thrilled, and pointed a claw at the next portal. She was having the time of her life. You're a lady! How are you this violent? I braced against her dragon skull and forgot she's covered in weapons, so she flicked her tail, tossed me onto her back, and took off toward the portal like a runaway train. Slower! Slower! I clung to her neck and combed the wind out of my hair. Outside the school, under the sky screen, the whole city was watching. The screen flicked through test takers. Zhou Lin came up, silver armor, phantom arrows, 3 shots per orc, gorgeous and lethal, and the crowd cheered their top genius. Then the screen cut to a giant azure dragon barreling through level 3 with a disheveled boy on its back. The city stopped breathing. A dragon? A living dragon in the college entrance exam? The crowd detonated. People begged the screen not to cut away. Nobody there had seen a dragon in their entire life. And in that crowd, Two people went very still. Old Gao, did you see that? That looked like Frostbloom, and our son, Li Chuan. My parents found out their chubby air conditioner was a dragon the same way the whole city did, on a screen 30 feet tall. I'd spent 3 days swearing to their faces that Frostbloom was just a pet. They were now watching her level a hell dungeon with their son riding on her back. Some secrets don't survive the college entrance exam. I had no idea. I was too busy fixing my hair on a speeding dragon, arriving at the 4th and final level. 40 seconds in, already an all-time record in the history of the national exam, and the last room was bigger than the first 3 combined. 10 football fields. 20 giant orcs, 8 meters tall, taller than Frostbloom, muscles like carved stone. Level 50. Finally, something worth taking seriously. Not much, but a little. The giant orcs caught our scent, circled, and roared. Then one hurled its bone club like a cannon shot, mighty throw, and the rest followed. 20 clubs screamed across 10 football fields straight at us. At least you know to strike first, I patted her horn. Frostbloom, contest, who kills more? And I blinked in. Instant sword put me at a giant orc's knee, the only spot I could reach, and I opened it up. And felt stupid. My beginner sword tore the flesh and stopped at the bone. The thing was 5 times my size with skin like a tire. I could bury the whole blade in its chest and maybe not find the heart. It roared and swatted at me and I danced off. Landing a fatal blow on that with a toothpick is a fool's errand. Good thing I wasn't fighting alone. Bang! A blue blur knocked my orc across the room. Frostbloom stood there glaring at me, deeply offended. The race hadn't started and the owner jumped the gun. Okay, I surrender. Hands up. They're all yours. She nodded, satisfied, and gave me a look that said, Master, very sensible. Then she turned to the giant orcs, roared, and dropped ice hell. A blizzard swept the cave, palm-sized snowflakes drifting down, and everywhere they landed, they froze. 10 meters of frozen wasteland. The orcs pushed through it for a second, and then the ice sealed them where they stood, 28-meter statues. Frostbloom chirped in triumph and shattered one with a claw, and the dungeon chimed. Clear! Congratulations, candidate Li Chuan. I blinked. I hadn't finished killing them. How did I? And then I watched a frozen orc explode under Frostbloom's claw, and it clicked. Ice Hell has a hidden line. Anything caught in the frost with lower intelligence than the dragon dies instantly. These were pure strength brutes. Frostbloom outthinks a monster 40 levels above her. She hadn't frozen them. She'd executed them the second the snow touched. My infant dragon has an area-wide delete button, and she'd never mentioned it. Behind the gate, the platform stopped breathing. 1 minute. He cleared hell in 1 minute. The old record was 10. He'd cut it by a factor of 10. As a rank 4, Zhou Yu Tian saw the real horror. The orcs died the instant the ice reached them, not from the cold, from the effect. An instant death skill, area-wide. Then Li Hua laughed, loud, unhinged, image completely abandoned, sweeping her eyes across every leader who'd sneered at her student on job change day. Did you see that? My taste is just that good. Heads went down all across the platform, ashamed of how short-sighted they'd been. The mayor and the principal weren't ashamed of anything. They were 2 50-year-old men grinning like flowers. A provincial top scholar from a third-rate city. That's not luck, the mayor thought. That's the ancestral grave erupting. And the principal who'd wanted to drag me out and beat me an hour ago was now prepared to kneel and call me father. Because in this country, a provincial champion who doesn't die young reaches rank 6 minimum. He'd happily be my grandson. The settlement finished. Perfect clear. Hell difficulty. 1 minute. Overall rating, SSS, the maximum. I nodded. If I couldn't max it carrying an ancestral divine beast, I should bury myself. Frostbloom poked the reward chest open with a claw. 5 million experience, 100 attribute points, 100 skill points, a gold tier armor set, an elite title, a B-rank skill, and a chunk of B-rank crafting material. Several times a month in the range in one box. I dumped the experience in. We both jumped 5 levels. Frostbloom to 30, stats at 1950. Me to 40, the first job cap. The gold lava roar set pushed my strength near 600 with gear, the raw stats of a level 60 or 72nd tier professional. I learned bloodthirsty berserk, slapped on the Orc Hunter title, pocketed the rest to sell, hugged my dragon, and tore my return scroll. 3 seconds later, I was standing on the school playground, blinking away the teleport. And then I couldn't move, because the entire leadership of Dongling City had swarmed me. The aloof mayor, the composed principal, every dignified teacher, all pressed in shoulder to shoulder, 2 beaming old faces basically touching mine. Li Chuan, you are the pride of this city. We'll give you the highest reward available. Name it, anything you want. A guaranteed provincial champion, a giant beastmaster with a dragon, to them, worth any price. And an hour ago, every one of them had written me off as a dead man walking into hell. Ask me again. I kept my face blank. This sudden warmth wasn't for me, it was for what I could become. If I were still a petless beastmaster, these same people would kick me down the stairs. So I gave them a polite, hollow line. I'll follow the leader's arrangements, and scanned the crowd for the one face that had meant it. Li Hua, my homeroom teacher, back of the pack. I smiled for real. Teacher Li Hua. On job change day, when the whole world laughed, she was the only one who didn't. She fronted me the scholarship to buy my pet. She never once looked down on me. You actually did it. She looked dazed. She'd watched me claw up from nothing for 3 years, and even believing in me completely, she never imagined this high. Something in her went a little sad, the good, aching kind. It was so hard for you. Teacher, with my score, you're getting a max evaluation this year, right? She patted my shoulder, smile finally landing. Congratulations, Li Chuan, on the goal you always chased. A beat. And thank you. My evaluation is officially maxed out. Then she waved me off to go tell my parents, promised me dinner another day, and I got a little excited because a beautiful teacher just invited me to dinner. Some kindnesses you carry the whole way up and pay back the first chance you get. I turned to leave and a tall figure blocked me. Zhou Yutian, the Guardian. Congratulations, Li Chuan. I thanked him properly, I respected him, rank 4, and also, Zhou Lin's uncle. He liked that I treated him like a person and not a checkbook. You brought honor to this city. On behalf of the Su family, I prepared a gift. 200 million gold coins and an A-rank skill book. The coins hit your card today. The book I'll have delivered tomorrow. My eyes went wide. 200 million and an A-rank book tossed out like pocket change. The Su family really is disgustingly rich. I never thought I'd get to fleece them. Far too generous, Guardian, I couldn't possibly. I accepted instantly. I'm worth courting now. Refusing would just make him nervous. But don't send someone for the book. Have Zhou Lin bring it. She knows where I live. Zhou Yutian nodded, satisfied. Then his brain caught up. Have Zhou Lin bring it? She knows where you live? When did you two get that close? The fist hardened. He looked at me with a slowly darkening face, and I felt my life expectancy drop. Talented, sure. Limitless future, sure. But this kid is eyeing our precious cabbage. Otherwise, dispose of him. Guardian, I really must go. See you around. I bolted, because staying was now a health risk. Outside the school, the crowd spotted me, and pitied me. A test taker already? He must have failed the dungeon. Poor kid, still smiling after washing out. Well, with a face like that, he can make a living regardless. Because nobody had noticed the boy on the dragon's back. To them, my fast exit meant a fast defeat. I didn't bother correcting anyone. The official rankings tomorrow would be louder than my voice. Aquan, over here! My mom, waving. Then both parents grabbed me, hauled me into a corner, and whispered the only question that mattered to them. Tell us the truth. Is Frostbloom really a dragon? I rolled my eyes. Yes. They stared at the palm-sized cutie on my shoulder, unable to reconcile her with the 7-meter myth from the screen. I told you 3 days ago. You didn't believe me. I just cleared a hell dungeon in 1 minute and you don't ask my grade, you interrogate my cat. Can we go home? I'm starving. Meanwhile, the field kept flickering as students teleported back, some cheering, some hollow-eyed. Then Zhou Lin appeared, scanning for the figure that had ditched her. That bastard ran off without waiting for me. She was reaching for her phone to yell at me when the leadership swarmed her instead. "Hey, Lynn, your grade?" SSS. 12 minutes. Chin up, insufferably proud. "That's a top 10 provincial finish easily," her uncle said, and the mayor and principal nearly wept. 2 provincial top 10s from a third-rate city. 2? Joe Lin blinked. "Uncle, how did Li Chuan do?" 1 minute. "He's the provincial champion guaranteed." And Zhou Yutian watched his niece guess it was Li Chuan before anyone said the name, and filed that away with growing dread. Zhou Lin's face fell just a little. She'd known he'd beat her. But provincial champion means a guaranteed top university, while top 10 is a coin flip. If I land low, do I end up at a different school than that jerk? Then her uncle, trying to cheer her up, dropped the news that the 4 top universities had expanded enrollment to the provincial top 15 this year. Guaranteed. She lit up like a firework and skipped off to go find me and gloat, and Zhou Yutian, who had wanted to gently interrogate her about me, gave up. He should have asked. It would have saved him a lot of future heartburn. The next day, the rankings dropped, and my ordinary name detonated across the whole province. Provincial champion, prodigy of the common people, giant beast master, contracted to an ice dragon. The reports crashed websites from the traffic. The city strung up lanterns and set off fireworks like it was New Year, because a third-rate town had produced a provincial #1. Reporters, guilds, recruiters, my phone rang until it begged for mercy. The same rich guild bosses who'd sneered at me on job change day now camped outside my building with bags of money and resources, not even trying to recruit anymore, just hoping to buy back a sliver of my goodwill. And the 4 top universities sent people to my little city to fight over me before anyone else could. I ignored all of it, told my parents my score, put on a disguise, and quietly slipped out the back, because I had a second beast slot to go earn. The Transfer God Temple handles second job advancements. You touch the divine stone, it rolls you a random quest, and it teleports you to it. Difficulty ranges wildly. Some people advance by killing 1 goblin, some have to solo a level 100 monster. I got lucky. Destroy the goblin tribe. Normal. 100 goblins, 6 of them mutated. I read the quest, patted Frostbloom, and drew my sword. She flapped over to cheer from the sidelines because these were beneath her and she knew it. 100 goblins swarmed. I stepped into them and did the gardening thing again, 5 throats on the first pass, and 36 seconds later, 100 goblins were laid out in a neat ring around me. Would have been faster, but I stopped to stress test my new gold armor. The chime came. Second advancement complete. Giant Beast Master, second job. New skill, Beast Pet Amplification. And new pet contract slot. 1 of 2, now filled by Frostbloom. The amplification skill is a basic one, plus 10% to a pet's strength. Except my SSS talent multiplies my skills by 10. So on Frostbloom, plus 10 becomes plus 100. It doubles her. She could already fight a rank 3 around level 70. Doubled, she'd drop a level 80 with 1 claw. And I'd taught her nothing. I just kept getting stronger by standing near her. But the slot is what had me grinning. A second beast means a second stream of stats feeding me, a snowball rolling downhill. This is the part where the giant Beastmaster stops being a joke and starts being the scariest class alive. And Dongling's pet market couldn't hold anything worthy of standing next to a dragon. I'd need a bigger city. I stepped out of the temple, and my phone detonated. "Where are you, brat?" My mom, machine gun mode. "Admissions officers from 4 top universities are at the school right now. Get over there." 4 top universities, in person, on results day, which, fair. I'd cut a 10-minute record down to 60 seconds. Of course they came running. And top universities don't just admit you, they pay you. Gold, holy quartz, gear, skill books, and the real prize, access to their private secret realm dungeons. A bronze dungeon had just handed me 5 million experience. They had silver, gold, and diamond ones. My strength was about to go vertical. I headed to school with a bounce in my step and a wallet ready to get fat. Meanwhile, back at that school, my absence was causing a diplomatic incident. The conference room was packed. The principal and every teacher stood pressed against one wall, sweating. Across from them sat 4 recruiters, each radiating more power than the city's own rank 4 guardian. The admissions officers from Huaqing, Blazing Dragon, Yanhua, and Southern Saint. The 4 schools at the summit of the country. Behind each stood elite current students, rank 3 auras all around. "Where is Li Chuan?" The Huaqing officer, a hard, middle-aged man, tapped the table, and the principal felt like a rabbit under a wolf. He'd had 0 warning. He winked desperately at Li Hua to call me. Li Hua's phone to me had been going straight to voicemail all day, and my parents had no idea where I'd wandered off to. She gave the principal a look. I tried. 20 minutes of waiting, and a young man behind the Huaqing officer lost patience. "Principal Gao, 4 schools' teachers came in person. That's already a huge honor for the kid. And he's late? Does he not respect us at all?" This was Wang Kai, a Thorn Knight, Huaqing sophomore, already rank 3 at level 75, and very impressed with himself. He'd come to see what kind of prodigy warranted 4 schools fighting over him, and gotten stood up on arrival. Arrogant men do not enjoy being stood up. "Humph! Who knew you'd all show up today?" Every head turned. Zhou Lin standing behind the principal, ranked 9th in the province, qualified for a top school just like me. "My little darling, can you please shut up for 1 second?" the principal begged silently. Facing 4 officers, any one of whom could end his career, she was acting like a spoiled heiress, which she was. Wang Kai's eyes flicked to her, appreciated the view for exactly a second, then curdled. "Oh, the 9th place. If the schools hadn't expanded enrollment, you wouldn't even be standing here. Just like that Li Chuan, neither of you knows how high the sky is." "You can insult me. You do not get to insult him." Zhou Lin stepped out from behind her teacher. "You know what arrogance means? A year at a top university and you're only rank 3. A waste of resources." Her words were a shotgun, and she caught a few of the other escort students in the spread, and the room dropped to a temperature you could hear. The principal nearly died. "Zhou Lin, these are your future seniors. Apologize." "I didn't say anything wrong." She looked at the floor and did not move an inch. And then the Huaqing officer tapped the table, amused and cruel. "Sharp tongue for a little girl. Since you look down on them, how about a contest? Let's see who the real waste is." The room froze. A kid who hadn't even started university, dueling a top school elite? It's not a fight, it's an execution. Even the Blazing Dragon officer, a woman named Tang Ruoxi, frowned. "Teacher Ming, this is hardly fair." "There is no fairness for awakeners," he laughed. "Young people should taste some setbacks. Blazing Dragon's just too soft. That's why you lost to us last year." Tang Ruoxi's chest heaved. Huaqing takes first in the whole country and struts like they own the sky. "Let's compete." Zhou Lin stepped forward, facing Wang Kai without a flicker of fear. "I want to see exactly how much better 1 year at Huaqing makes you." Wang Kai glanced at his teacher, got the nod, and smiled cold. "Fine, let me teach you how to respect a senior." Which was the exact moment I walked through the school gate, with a second beast on my shopping list and absolutely no idea my terrifying teammate had just picked a fight to defend my name. Li Hua pounced on me the second I appeared, half scolding, half relieved. I explained I'd gone to advance my job. "Second advancement, you succeeded?" She caught the shift in my aura, and her face went complicated. The brat I watched grow up is almost as strong as me now. Then she dragged me toward the playground, not the conference room. Something happened. Pick a school later. I stepped onto the field and my questions died. Zhou Lin, face ashen, eyes red, a thread of blood at the corner of her mouth, and an arrogant young man standing a ways off, radiating smug. I walked over and wiped the dirt off her cheek. "What happened?" Not a nice tone. She grabbed my sleeve like a support beam and told me. A rank 3 versus a second tier. Blatant bullying, staged for an audience. "You're Li Chuan? You don't look like anything special." Wang Kai looked me over, clocked the face, and got meaner. "Handsome guys are all the same. I really want to rearrange yours." He waited for a reaction. He got nothing. My eyes, he'd later admit, were the flat ocean eyes of a god looking down at an ant, and he was the ant. Junior Zhou Lin wanted a taste of her senior. "Want a turn?" "Sure." I didn't even need him to ask. But my eyes weren't on him. They went past him to the Huaqing officer at the back. "Teacher, may I cripple him?" The officer's face twitched. "If you have the ability. Also, Huaqing doesn't accept people who lack self-awareness." I shook my head and crossed Huaqing off my list on the spot. With my score, I picked the school. The school doesn't pick me. Perfect. I'm not interested in schools that bully the weak. The playground went silent like a slap. The Huaqing officer flushed purple. One lucky kid with a dragon, calling his university weak bullies. The other 3 officers, meanwhile, nearly cheered, because I'd just eliminated a competitor for them before the bidding even started. The blazing dragon officer Tang Ruoshi smiled. "That's the character we want." And the Huaqing man, seething, sent Wang Kai a private message. "Trample him or lose your year's credits." Wang Kai, now fully unleashed, lunged with a whistling fist. I didn't dodge. I waited until it nearly touched me, stepped, left a phantom in place, reappeared behind him, and kicked him square in the backside. Not hard, just deeply insulting. He overbalanced off his own missed punch and face-planted into the dirt like a stray dog diving at a bone. "Senior, that dog pounce is masterful. You've clearly eaten dirt before." "I'll kill you!" He came up contorted and stopped playing. A thorny halo flared. Thorn halo, plus 30% strength, reflects 10%, and a 2-meter lance appeared in his hand. He charged, and one man's charge sounded like an army. The officers tensed to intervene because a full-power rank 3 Thorn Knight is not something a second tier survives. I met him with a red flash of my own. Bloodthirsty berserk, instant sword. Our weapons rang, sparks everywhere, and I got launched backward because my raw skill is still short of a real rank 3. He laughed, delighted, sure he'd won. He missed the cold smile on my face. I landed on one foot, spun off the force, and blinked straight back in. Instant sword, double strike. I was at his neck before his laugh finished. He barely got the lance up crosswise, and the blow lifted him clean off the ground. Then my free hand threw 2 wind blades into his airborne body, bang, bang, and spun him twice before he ate the playground face first. "You!" Blood came up. His gear stopped the blades, but the force went through like a road roller rearranging his organs. The whole field stood up, 35 levels between us, and I hadn't even shown the dragon. The 3 officers' eyes lit like signal fires. Perfect awareness, perfect timing, and his real trump card is still in his pocket. We recruit this monster at any cost. Wang Kai staggered up for a 3rd try, 3 halos blazing, and didn't reach me, because his own teacher grabbed his lance and flung him aside. The Huaqing officer looked at me with a face full of things he couldn't say. "You win." Silence. A high schooler had just beaten a top university sophomore straight up, 35 levels down, dragon still holstered. Was this the provincial champion? The 3 remaining officers looked ready to draw swords over me. The Huaqing officer, who an hour ago thought I was an arrogant fluke, tried to buy back in. 1 billion gold coins, a diamond-grade item, 2 A-rank skill books of your choice, free monthly runs of our gold and silver dungeons. Li Chuan, please consider Huaqing. I shook my head, not interested, and walked toward Zhou Lin. He stood there with an unconscious student and a mountain of regret, muttered an apology to my back, grabbed Wang Kai, and flew off. I looked down at a slack-jawed Zhou Lin. "Am I amazing?" Her whole face lit up. "You're not just amazing, you're incredibly amazing." And she pounced on me, laughing like a delighted idiot. I coughed and looked around for rescue. Everyone suddenly found the sky very interesting. She hugged me a good long while before letting go, face gone red as a monkey's backside, and for once, nobody laughed at her. Because 3 admissions officers were already elbowing through the crowd to fight over me. Southern Saint grabbed one arm. "Li Chuan, come to us, we offer." 1 billion gold coins. Yanhua grabbed the other. "Come to us, double their scholarship." 2 billion. The principal's jaw hit the floor. That's more than most wealthy families earn in a lifetime, offered to a teenager, in a bidding war, over his arms. I stayed calm and looked at the one officer who hadn't grabbed me. Tang Ruoshi, blazing dragon. "Li Chuan, my terms match Yanhua's." A pause and a gentle smile. "But you just completed your 2nd advancement. You have an empty pet slot. Blazing Dragon will give you a giant beast." Southern Saint and Yanhua went silent and let go of my arms. Money they could match. A giant beast they could not without a dozen approvals they didn't have. I choose Blazing Dragon, I said, no hesitation. I didn't need the beast, but Blazing Dragon came to the table with more sincerity than a bigger number. And sincerity, I remember. Tang Ruoxi smiled, then turned to Zhou Lin. You'll be attending with him, I assume? Then, no beast, but 500 million, everything else the same. Zhou Lin went pink and nodded. 3 days later, I left home the coward's way. A note, a bank card with 100 million on it, and out the door before my parents woke because they'd cling, and they never took anything without giving twice back, and I couldn't watch them try to walk me to the door one more time. Some goodbyes you skip so you don't have to lose the argument. The cities are too far apart to drive now. Blazing Dragon sits in the capital, days away by any old method, through monster country. So you pay for an interprovincial teleport array and arrive in a blink. Zhou Lin was already there, waving tickets, bouncing. Bought them! Our university life starts! Blazing Dragon University is not a school. It's a small city in the mountains, 2 million people, of whom maybe 1,000 are students. Everyone else there to serve them. Classical pavilions bolted onto skyscrapers, people commuting on flying beasts. And at the center, a 300-meter tower stabbing the sky. The Eternal Tower. Not just a building, a war fortress that's fought on the myriad heavens battlefield for centuries, its surface scarred with medals made of old battles. Zhou Lin gawked like a country kid in the big city. Honestly, so did I. My old life's fanciest university town was garbage next to this, and I was going to live here for 3 years. At the top of that tower, someone was already talking about me. Tang Ruoxi stood before the dean, a plain man around 30, gentle eyes, utterly unremarkable, and she couldn't stop her hands shaking. Because the dean is an 8-turn warrior named Blood Knight, a man who walked out of mountains of corpses and seas of blood. Tell me about the boy, he said, waving off the beast talk. Your honest opinion. A prodigy, she said. I've never seen anyone his age wear combat skill like an instinct. And his dragon, she paused. We never saw it fight. But from what he showed without it, that dragon is king tier minimum. Lightning moved behind the dean's gentle eyes. King tier. What a wonderful little guy. His gaze drifted to the window, as if it passed through walls to something out in the campus that pleased him deeply. Give him the beast cub, and tell him if he has any questions he can come ask me himself. Tang Ruoxi froze, an 8-turn expert, offering personal tutoring to a freshman, and got teleported out before she could argue. At registration, I discovered I'd become the campus heartthrob before I'd unpacked. A sophomore girl saw my form, gasped my name, so this is the one teacher Bai escorted personally, and leaned in. Junior, do you have a girlfriend? Before I could answer, Zhou Lin shoved between us, bristling like a small tiger whose land got invaded, and slapped down her own form. The sophomore accepted it without looking, eyes still glued to me, privately wondering if I'd mind having more than one girlfriend. The 2 sophomore boys beside her sighed in pure envy. He's just slightly more handsome than us. Is it really necessary? Tang Ruoxi walked us through it. Silver ID watches that run trades, navigation, everything. A ranking tournament in 2 days, rewards by placement. And the school's real currency isn't gold, it's academic credits. Everything from resources to dinner costs credits. We haven't earned any yet, we'll starve, Zhou Lin wailed. You were issued credits based on your exam scores. Check. Zhou Lin swiped and lit up. 1,000! Then, let me see yours. I put my hands behind my back, face calm. I'd already looked. 10,000. 10 times hers. Best not to flaunt in front of this particular girl. Then, Tang Ruoxi dropped Zhou Lin at her dorm and led me aside, because happened to run into you was always a lie, and I called it. She pulled out a furry creature, a puppy that hadn't finished growing. It snarled at me, low and mean. Then it caught sight of Frostbloom peeking over my shoulder, tucked its tail, and started shaking uncontrollably, terrified out of its little mind. I ran bloodline identification. Howling Moon Silver Wolf, Legendary Divine Beast, Final Form, Devouring Demon Wolf, Universe Tier. The highest ranked pet I'd ever seen after Frostbloom. Tang Ruoxi watched a legendary divine beast cower before my dragon and nearly short-circuited. And I, ungrateful monster that I am, was a little disappointed. Universe tier ceiling is spectacular to anyone without my fusion talent. To me, it was fine. Middling even. I could synthesize better. But you don't refuse a legendary divine beast. That's just stupid. So I turned it over in my hands, thinking. Then I clocked one detail, and my eyes lit up. Huh, she's female. I looked at Tang Ruoxi. This beast is mine now? I can do whatever I want with her? She nodded, frowning, sensing correctly that I somehow didn't want the priceless legendary wolf, and unable to believe anyone could feel that. She's the dean's own cub. He said if you have questions about raising her, go ask him. Please thank the dean for me. I said nothing else, because I don't sign second contracts lightly, and I'd already found the little wolf a better home. Tang Ruoxi left, deeply confused. Did you miss my subtext? The dean wants you as his personal student, an 8-turn master's disciple. People kill for that, and you just nodded. Back in the dorm, a 5-star suite, apparently the temporary kind, I called my parents while the two beasts played. When I came back, Frostbloom was sitting on the bed like a queen, and the legendary silver wolf was hand-feeding her fruit. The fierce snarl was gone. She'd been demoted to a nervous little maid in 10 minutes flat. Ancestral bloodline pressure. No contest. Then I read the school forum and understood the real game. Credits run everything. 99% of the campus needs them, and you can't even buy a class ticket without them. And you earn them by ranking. Each grade has a leaderboard. Above them all, the elite list. Top 20 across the whole school. Personal instruction from top experts. One rule for every list. Strength. The freshman rank 1 reward stopped me cold. 10,000 credits a month. 4 gold dungeon runs. And an S-rank material, Frost Marrow, which happens to be a growth material to advance Frostbloom to her next stage. I'm taking first, I said, and meant it. That afternoon, Jo Lin dragged me to the trading market. She changed into a casual dress and stood in the pavilion turning heads, looking, for once, like a normal girl next door. I paused, then looked away and muttered, "It's just shopping." But a woman shopping is a force of nature at any age, so I quietly gave up on browsing for myself. She spotted the wolf in my arms. "Is this the beast the school gave you? So cute." Little hearts in her eyes. "I'm not contracting her. You want her?" And I handed a legendary divine beast over like a gift bag. Her brain crashed. "Huh? You can't just..." Her face went red and she started stammering, dizzy because in her head this was clearly a confession dressed up as a present. Do I say yes? Or do I say yes? It was, in fact, just me offloading a wolf I didn't need. But I let her spin. I had a real goal at the pet shop. My second slot needed filling and I wanted another myth, which means 3 of the same species to fuse. I walked in, scanned the combat pets, and every caged beast on the floor took one look at Frostbloom and became a house cat. I read fortunes. Spirit Beast, Final Form Divine Beast, next, Epic, Universe. Then, at the top of the whole shop, Sacred Beast. Impressive. Not enough. My bar is ancestral, and this floor couldn't clear it. Nothing to your taste, sir? The salesgirl looked nervous. Anything more special? Take me. Money's no object. 2 billion in my pocket said so. She led me to a back room. 1 cage. 3 palm-sized creatures shaped like tiny women, animal skin wraps, pointed ears, bushy tails, and a faint, alluring aura. They saw us and puffed into 3 terrified fluffballs. Little fox spirits, otherworld creatures, caught on the myriad heavens battlefield and sold on. 500 million each, she said, sneaking a glance at Jo Lin because she does not usually show young couples the fox. I nearly laughed. Wildly overpriced. As an origin beast, a fox spirit's combat power is, to put it kindly, a rounding error. Li Chuan. Jo Lin's eyes went to danger levels. Relax, I'm a gentleman, no strange hobbies. I rolled my eyes and threw a bloodline identification at the fluffballs on my way out the door. Origin beast. Final form, 9-tailed celestial fox. Ancestral divine beast. I froze. Ancestral. Again, in a discount back room. The universe really keeps parking myths in cages and pricing them like goldfish. The salesgirl, catching my hesitation, smiled knowingly. Weak in a fight, sir, but the charm ability is potent. If you need a support pet... Do I look like I need an assistant? My reputation was dying in real time. But ancestral. Under Jolynn's murderous glare, I pulled out my card. I'll take all three. The salesgirl mentally saluted my courage and fled with my money. Wang! Chen! Jolynn's eyes carved me into slices. It's not a preference, they just have very high growth potential, I said with a sincere face. Pervert! You old pervert! She did not believe one word. You can't even contract a fox spirit. What growth potential? And why buy three? I gave a weak smile. This misunderstanding was a national disaster. Back at the dorm, I set the cage down. You three ruined my reputation. 3 snow-white foxes stared up with pink eyes. Please be worth it. Then I tucked Frostbloom under one arm and reached out. Beast Pet Fusion. Activated. My energy drained. The 3 foxes dissolved into a single white orb. The orbs collided and light exploded. When it cleared, a small figure hovered there, refined, faintly holy, pink eyes, and a charm rolling off her so strong that even I, her master, felt my head go pink for a second before I pinched my own thigh and snapped out of it. That's a problem. I grabbed a blanket off the couch and covered her. You are not allowed to use that form outside without my say-so. She looked sad about it, then flickered back into a fluffy 9-tailed fox that immediately lost the ability to float and grabbed my finger in a panic. Note to self, buy the fox some clothes. Her panel was a horror show, in the best way. 9-tailed celestial fox, ancestral divine beast, intelligence 1,000. Skills, illusory body, immune to all charm and mind control, minus 30% to any attack. Scarlet eyes. Anyone who meets her gaze with lower intelligence gets stunned, far lower, permanently enslaved. Bewitching all living things, charm everything in range with weaker minds into a frenzy. And 9-tailed world destruction. She goes true form and levels the area. I took a slow breath. That 1,000 intelligence means nothing under rank 3 that isn't a mage survives her eyes. Sweetie, you're Ling-Ling now. I rubbed her, set her in front of Frostbloom. You 2 ladies get acquainted. Frostbloom, do not bully your little sister. My own stats jumped again. 200 points off Ling-Ling's feedback, intelligence up 100. 2 ancestral divine beasts, both feeding me. Now I'm confident for the ranking tournament. Then I settled in to rest. The rest of the campus was not resting. It was losing its mind. Because the fusion had done the thing again. 100-meter 9-tailed fox phantom bloomed over the university, pink eyes sweeping the sky like it owned the place. The whole school stopped and stared. A universe-tier 9-tailed fox, a bloodline projection. And then an invisible wave rolled out, and everyone below rank 3 who met those eyes went flushed and glassy and stopped thinking straight. Then a dozen figures shot into the sky, every one of them 6-turn or higher. A freshman contracted this? A fierce bald man trembled. A naturally grown, universe-tier beast reaches 8-turn, the pet of everyone's dreams. This student is Combat Academies. I'll take him personally. Dream on, Baldy! A woman in mage robes shoved forward. It's an enchanter-type fox. He's obviously Magic Academies. And Support Academy joined in, and a dozen 6-turn masters started a shouting match in the sky that was 2 seconds from a brawl. Enough! The dean appeared, and a flick of his hand slammed a dozen 6-turn experts flat into the ground. You're embarrassing yourselves before you've even confirmed who it is. And handle the crowd. That fox's aura is dropping every kid under rank 3. Then, he traced the phantom to its source. Me, and a fluffy fox in my arms. He looked closer with divine thought, and even an 8-turn master rocked back. 1 king-tier dragon, 1 universe-tier fox, on 1 freshman. Then he sensed the legendary silver wolf, somewhere else entirely, and his face went strange. This kid didn't even want my wolf. He gave her to his girlfriend? 2 days later, the freshman ranking tournament opened. The teaching square was packed. 120 new students in the center, radiating battle intent, plus a crowd of upperclassmen come to watch. I arrived with Frost Bloom and Ling Ling and immediately caught a glare, Jo Lin grinding her teeth, wearing the face of a woman who'd been proposed to and then abandoned. I really needed to diffuse that before she said something to her mother on a video call and buried my reputation forever. But before I could take a step, the air went strange. I turned. Tang Ruoxi and a pack of much scarier teachers had surrounded me, eyes gleaming like I was a treasure chest that walked in on its own. Even my nerves reported a chill. They look like they want to eat me. Li Chuan, on behalf of Support Academy, join us, name any terms. Tang Ruoxi grabbed my hand, glancing in awe at the fox on my shoulder. Now she understood why I'd shrugged off a legendary wolf. I'd had a universe-tier fox waiting. Then a bigger teacher shoved her aside. Li Chuan, a fox and a dragon, support and offense, the perfect pair. Only Combat Academy lets you shine. Any terms you want, and once you hit rank 3, we'll hand you another divine beast. Blazing Dragon splits into Combat, Magic, and Support Academies, and as a Beast Master, I could join any of them. But I liked Combat. I'd rather charge in than hide in the back and chant. My face must have shown it because the teachers panicked and started climbing over each other. Li Chuan, don't listen to Bald Zhao's empty promises. The Magic Academy teacher shoved Bald Zhao aside and waved 2 S-rank skill books at me. A Beastmaster's leveling gets brutal as you stack pets. Combat Academy slows you down. Come to Magic. 1 spell clears a whole wave. You'll level like lightning. 2 S-rank books on the spot. My head spun with the light off all their premium gear. Teachers, how about I decide after the ranking battle? They reluctantly let go, throwing daggers at each other. Fine, no rush, just don't pick those reckless brutes. Ha! He's a born warrior, he won't run with sissies. I said goodbye and walked to the freshman area, leaving a diplomatic incident behind me. The other freshmen watched me get fought over by every academy, and their faces curdled. Not one teacher had spoken to them. 7 of them stood out, the top scholars of their own provinces, the favorites for rank 1. And every one of them looked at me with open hostility. Show off, muttered Wang Hao, a top scholar from a rich family. So he has 2 beasts. A commoner falls harder the higher he's praised, a girl sneered. His rank's only 40, gear and skills far behind ours. When he finishes dead last, let's see if he dares stay. There's an arena round, another added. We teach him a lesson there. Show the teachers who the real prodigies are. Jo Lin gave me a look. You're popular. Cattle travel in herds. Wild beasts walk alone. I nodded at the wolf on her shoulder. You contracted Silver Wolf? What's she called now? Noob. She turned her head away. Shame the beast got a garbage owner. She muttered it under her breath and I gave up. Some hurdles you clear later. Then a mage teacher, Ma Yun, took the platform and tapped her wand, and the noise died. The ranking battle has 2 parts, dungeon and arena. Your final rank is the average of your best scores from both. Top 50 make the freshman list and get the rewards. Everyone else gets base benefits for a month. She raised her wand, magic tore the air, and a giant portal bloomed, and a message dropped into every freshman mind. Beast Tide Impact. Silver Grade Dungeon, 9 waves. Difficulty, easy to hell. No healing items allowed. I picked hell before I finished reading it. My body vanished off the square. So did 119 others. The portal became a screen over the plaza, 120 tiles, 1 per student. And the upperclassmen started betting. Sun Kai for the win, a level 60 paladin, tank and heal in 1, a whole squad by himself, perfect for a beast tide. I bet Li Quan, 2 divine beasts, 3 academies fought over him. Ranks too low, 20 level gap, no beast closes that. The Gao Wang better started to sweat. Up on the platform, the 3 academy teachers who'd been at each other's throats now sat in a perfect, eerie row, all staring at exactly 1 tile. Mine. Ma Yun came back and blinked at the harmony. Confident in the little guy? You just got back from the battlefield, so you missed it, Bald Zhao said, dreamy. Li Quan cleared the college entrance dungeon in 1 minute. Ma Yun's eyes went wide. She'd been a provincial champion herself. Her time was 10 minutes 20. His was 10 times faster. Am I a fake genius? She started questioning her whole life. How long for the 9 waves? 9 minutes, bald Zhao guessed. His rank's a weakness, the fox just contracted. The mage teacher nodded. 9 minutes is a score most freshmen dream of, Ma Yun said. Inside, I landed on dark red ground that smelled faintly of old blood. 9 waves. My eyes lit up. More waves, more monsters, more reward. Maybe enough to push Frostbloom to the edge of her next stage. First wave, 52-meter cat demons, level 50, all fangs and claws and stink. Walking experience gift boxes. Frostbloom flew up and took her battle stance. Ling Ling hopped onto my head, waving all 9 tails, refusing to look weak. The cat demons surrounded me and charged. And Ling Ling, from the top of my head, opened her mouth, bewitching all living things. Pink sound rolled out, swallowed 50 meters, wrapped every cat demon. They stopped. Their eyes went pink and glassy. Then they turned, roared, and tore into each other. Chime. First wave dead. I stood there, sword drawn, having done nothing. Ling Ling, could you save one for me? She wagged her tail from my head, radiating praise me. Her smugness lasted about a second before Frostbloom plucked her up by 2 claws. My infant fox had cleared a hell wave with 1 skill. I hadn't taken a step. Outside, a senior student screamed. His tile had ticked from 1 to 2. Wave 2, 10 seconds in. Every head turned to my grid, and the whole square inhaled at once. You're joking. 50 cat demons wiped in under 10 seconds? Even standing still and letting you chop them would take longer than that. On the platform, gentle Ma Yun swore out loud. Who timed it? How long? Bald Zhao's hands shook on his counter. 8 seconds. The mage teacher slapped her thigh, flushed with joy. That's the fox's innate skill. 1 charm, 50 monsters kill each other. This kid belongs in Magic Academy. They had no idea it was just the warm-up. Wave 2. Frostbloom's breath erased the room. Wave 3. Endless ice. Total wipe. Wave 4. Pink glow. Total wipe. Wave 5, 6, 7. I stood there like a tourist while my 2 ancestral myths took turns clearing hell. By wave 8, the square had gone silent. Under 3 minutes in, and I was on the 8th wave. The upperclassmen started questioning their existence. At the end of my freshman year, it took me 3 minutes to reach wave 5 at level 70. The top 30 sophomores, maybe. He's going to break Zhou Wang's record. Zhou Wang. Zhou Chengfeng, an 8-turn powerhouse, a battlefield commander, Blazing Dragon's greatest ever graduate, whose Beast Tide record, 5 minutes, as a second tier, had stood for 20 years untouched, and a freshman was chaking it. Bald Zhao read his counter with a trembling voice. 2 minutes 36. The mage teacher went pale, because she'd been Zhou Chengfeng's classmate and had lived 4 years in his shadow. And here was a freshman rewriting his legend on day 1. Ma Yun thought about a certain arrogant graduate. He told me his record wouldn't fall for 10 years. I wonder how swollen his face will be. Meanwhile, inside, I was bored. 7 waves and I hadn't lifted a finger. Can't you 2 save me even 1? I gave my pets a resentful glare. Do I have no dignity as the owner? They gave me a perfunctory next time and went back to work. I rolled up my sleeves to teach them about the authority of a master. Wave 8 arrived. 50 trolls, 5 meters tall, glowing green, 10 of them elites. I'll let you 2 off this time. I kicked Frostbloom's thigh, thicker than my whole body, and blinked in. Instant sword. I was at a troll's neck before it finished opening its mouth. Its head came off, and it had just enough time for one last thought. That's my body, before the lights went out. Double strike, second troll, second head. The rest finally noticed and swarmed, and a dragon roar froze them, and Frostbloom's breath shredded the 10 nearest me. Rebellious little devil, stealing my monsters. Then Ling Ling chimed in from my head, refusing to be outdone, and pink light took the survivors, and the trolls turned on each other in a scene I will not be describing in detail. Let's just say Ling Ling's charm doesn't only make things fight, it makes them enthusiastically not fight. I yanked her off my head. You! She blinked up at me, innocent. I closed my mummic. The power is undeniable. Skipping it over a few side effects would be foolish. Fine. Well done. Out of 50 trolls, I'd personally gotten 4. Outside, the square was making noises I can't print. Half the senior girls went red and looked at the sky. Half looked delighted. Nobody can fight Li Chuan. Even if you win, you'd suffer social death. And every senior in the square arrived at one shared conclusion. Do not ever mess with Li Chuan. On the platform, the teachers reached the same place. Should we adjust the arena rules? Ma Yun asked, tapping her wand, flushed. If he uses that in a ring match, Blazing Dragon's reputation is finished. Bald Zhao nodded. Compensate him privately and bar the fox from the arena round. He's strong enough that losing one pet won't dent his rank. Agreed, all around. For the first time in 600 years, the faculty voted to nerf a freshman mid-tournament out of pure self-preservation. Inside, I hit wave 9, 50 elites, and my 2 pets took half of it in a breath, and I mopped up the rest. Chime. Beast Tide impact. Cleared. Settlement in progress. I wiped my blade and waited for my reward, having spent most of the run as an audience member for my own dungeon. The settlement landed. Perfect clear. Hell. 3 minutes 46 seconds. SSS. And a bonus line. Record broken. Reward upgraded a full tier. I hadn't expected to break a record, but an upgraded reward? Now we're talking. Frostbloom, Ling Ling, come absorb your goodness. The chest was the 5-color kind, glowing several times brighter than the exams, and it did not disappoint. 10 million experience, 200 attribute points, 200 skill points, 2 platinum items, and an A-rank material. 10 million experience, split 3 ways, took me to level 45, Frostbloom to 40, the cap of her current growth stage, and Ling Ling up 15 levels in a blink. Frostbloom's stats hit 2200. Mine broke 500 raw in every attribute. If Wang Kai showed up now, I'd one-shot him. The platinum gear was the best I'd ever touched. A 2-meter serrated longsword that drops bleed and heals me off the wounds, and an enchantment ring that stretches my attack range. Low-rank platinum basically doesn't exist on the market. The big factions hoard it for their heirs. Only a broken record would cough these up. Geared up, my strength cleared 1,000. Then the dungeon spat me out. Outside, the square was a graveyard of silence. 3 minutes, 46 seconds. A freshman had cleared a silver dungeon in under 4 minutes, and every worldview in the plaza had cracked. The sophomores and juniors could barely breathe. At the end of their own freshman years, this same dungeon had taken them twice as long. He broke White God's work like it was nothing. Is Blazing Dragon about to grow a lower-grade monster who runs the whole school? And the fastest of my fellow freshmen, Sun Kai, the paladin favorite, was still stuck on wave 5. Ma Yun came down to me. Li Chuan, because of the fox's abilities, the faculty asks you not to bring her into the arena. I fought a smile. Ling Ling had genuinely traumatized the staff. Don't worry, teacher. Ling Ling sits this one out. I didn't mention I was benching Frostbloom, too. My pets had hogged the whole dungeon. The arena was going to be mine. Otherwise, those two would steal every scrap of the spotlight, and a man has to fight something himself eventually. Then Sun Kai teleported back at the 9-minute mark, covered in blood, grinning. 9 minutes. Best score of any freshman, easily, he'd checked. Past ranking battles topped out around 9 or 10. He'd land top 20. He set his shoulders, ready for the crowd's awe. The crowd didn't awe. The seniors looked at him strangely and said nothing. He snorted. Jealous, petty people. Then he turned, spotted a tall figure calmly playing with 2 pets at the edge of the square, and froze. Li Chuan? And Sun Kai, bless his muscle-packed skull, arrived at exactly the wrong conclusion. He must have failed, and walked over to comfort me. Failing once is fine, he said, chin up like a peacock. Blazing Dragon is where geniuses gather. You stood out back home. Here, it's okay to just be ordinary. I stared at him. I think you've mistaken something? I understand, he said warmly. I'm not comforting you. I'm stating a fact. Don't be shy around me. I'm very easy to talk to. The seniors around us lost it. First time I've met someone this delusional. Paladin, the brain's just more muscle. Because the man who cleared it in 9 minutes was earnestly consoling the man who broke the record by 5. Sun Kai went red, glared at the laughing seniors, then patted my shoulder. Li Chuan, don't hang around these twisted, jealous types. You'll have no future. I burst out laughing. Where does the confidence come from? He sighed at my denial, disappointed his recruitment pitch had failed, and turned to scan the giant screen for real talent, being, as a rich heir, always on the hunt. Then his eyes hit the grid right next to his own. An SSS clear. A time that made his 9 minutes look like a coffee break. His 9-minute score still sitting there beside it for comparison. Who? Someone beat me? Who the hell did this? The tile was directly next to his, which meant the deity who broke the record had entered right beside him, which meant the deity was, at that exact moment, standing 4 feet away, having just been generously advised that it's okay to be ordinary. A senior helpfully clarified. Don't you know your own level? How dare you stand next to that expert? Sun Kai turned slowly, looked at the calm boy beside him. You did this? I nodded. His face went nuclear. He'd just bragged about 9 minutes, to the record holder. He wanted to dig a hole and climb in, and I, feeling generous, patted his shoulder. Don't be discouraged. You're already very good. 9 minutes beats every other freshman. Keep it up. You might see me again someday. He trembled. Am I that great? If I work hard, I might catch your back. Are you comforting me or executing me? I nodded, satisfied with my kindness. Look at him shake with excitement. The rest of the freshmen filtered in, 8 of them under 10 minutes with SSS, including Sun Kai, Wang Hao, and Zhou Lin at 9th. Then Ma Yun raised the rankings. First place, Li Chuan, 3 minutes 46. Second place, Sun Kai, 9 minutes. Zhou Lin, 10th. Down to 50th. The square inhaled. First place, twice as fast as second. The champions of a dozen provinces stared in disbelief, and one of them cracked. Teacher, I don't accept this. These numbers are impossible. Wang Hao, a top scholar, on his feet. Did he cheat? Show us the recording. And the other province champions piled on. A lion's roar drowned them out. Combat Academy's teacher Zhao stepped forward, and a wave of pressure choked the whole square silent. You think someone cheated in a lethal dungeon, under every teacher's eyes? His disappointment was volcanic. Weaker than someone else is one thing, but too fragile to do anything but whine about it is another. Li Chuan earned that with sweat. If you disagree, he stomped, and a 100-square-meter arena condensed from raw power. Challenge him. Anyone may challenge a ranked student, and the challenged cannot refuse. Winner takes the loser's rank. No rules. Kill your opponent if you can. The medics can rebuild you from a splatter. So, you don't like the rankings? Fight for them. Arena round. Begin. The freshmen ignited, and every province champion's eyes locked on to me. Sun Kai, you take the first shot or me? Wang Hao grinned. Sun Kai took a large step back. Do whatever you want. I'm sitting this one out. He wasn't stupid. A 346 clear meant something no sane person volunteered to test. He looked at Wang Hao with genuine pity. Second place is fine. Then I won't be polite about taking first. Wang Hao jumped onto the ring. Teacher, I challenge Li Chuan, ranked 1. Every eye swung to me. I stayed calm. 1 second. Then I walked to Zhou Lin and handed her both pets. Watch these two for me. You're not bringing Frostbloom out? She took them, baffled. No, they've stolen enough spotlight. This is my show. I turned for the ring. Watch them. There's a reward for you after. The square went off like a bomb. Is he insane? A beastmaster into the arena with no pets? Because everyone on Earth knows the rule, a low-rank beastmaster is nothing without his pet. Take out the pet, take out the man. Li Chuan had just walked into a knife fight and left his knife with a girl. 15 levels down, no pets, against a special melee class. Egg, meet rock. On the platform, the faculty covered their faces. We told him not to bring the fox, the mage teacher hissed. Not to bench the dragon, too. I was very clear, Ma Yun sighed. He understood perfectly, and did this anyway. Teacher Zhao, who'd approved the fox ban, started to regret his whole afternoon. Because Wang Hao, mind fragile or not, was a level 60 ice swordsman, a control class that can freeze a weaker opponent to death. We just hope Li Chuan learns his lesson and brings his pets next time. Wang Hao couldn't believe it either. You're really fighting me petless? A beast master without a beast is a warrior without a weapon. I'm plenty for you alone, I shrugged. Bringing those two out would just be bullying you. His eyes went red. I'll see what makes a petless beast master this arrogant. After this, I take your rank and grind you into the mud. He drew a deep blue longsword, and the arena temperature dropped. A decent magic blade. My eyes lit up. A swordsman opponent suits me perfectly. I drew the door-sized, platinum serrated longsword, and the whole square gasped again. A beastmaster, drawing a 2-meter blade to melee a higher-rank melee class head-on. Certified suicide. Ready, 5 seconds. A barrier of light sealed the ring. 3, 2, 1, begin. Wang Hao moved first, slashing from range, and cold rolled off the blade and sheeted the whole floor in ice. Frosty Arena, his signature, freezes the ground, slows enemies, and hands him a 40% boost to move and attack while he's on it. The seniors murmured approval. Real province champion technique. And I stood in the middle of his ice and didn't flinch, and didn't move. The crowd's admiration curdled to contempt. Is he giving up? Did 2 divine beasts go to his head? Frost Arena's fully out. He's slowed 40%. Wang Hao's up 40. It's over. They watched me stand still in the freezing ring and wrote my obituary. They should have asked why a man who could dodge a rank 3's poison ray mid-fight was choosing not to move. Surrender now and I'll spare you the pain, Wang Hao offered, waiting for his ice to finish setting. Surrender? I shook my head. I'm giving you a chance. If I beat you before you've shown your best, you'll walk away thinking you had a shot. Then you'll train, feel a little stronger, and challenge me again. I hate repeat business, so let me show you the gap from the very first move. You dare look down on me? He charged, and 2 ice-blue sword chi shot ahead of him, blades that explode into freezing damage on contact. I raised the door-sized, serrated longsword like a shield. Both chi burst on it, frost spraying. Wang Hao grinned. The chi wasn't meant to hurt me, it was a second freeze debuff, and slid across his own ice to my flank, thrusting. Frost Arena slow, plus the fresh freeze. In his head, I had no way to defend. The crowd looked at me with pity. 2 debuffs. Even a rank 3 senior would struggle. A level 45 newly has no chance. No, said Teacher Zhao on the platform. He hasn't hit his dead end yet. The others scoffed. You think he turns this around 2 debuffs down? You squishy spell throwers can't feel the battle intent coming off that kid. Watch. On the ring, Wang Hao's sword reached my neck, and I flicked my wrist. The serrated longsword teleported into its path because 2 ancestral myths feed my speed, and even debuffed, I was faster than him. Wang Hao, that's not how you use a sword. I smiled, twisted the blade, and deflected his thrust off to the side, dragging his whole body with it. Then I stuck out 1 foot. He tripped. Face first onto his own ice, slid the whole width of the ring, and crunched into the barrier. Silence. Nobody had seen Hao. Wang Hao, top scholar of a province, sprawled out like a kicked dog. No real damage, maximum humiliation. Teacher Zhao slapped his thigh, glowing. Last-second deflection, pure risk, a natural for combat academy, and shot the other teachers a look that said, I told you so. Wang Hao scrambled up, shaking. Ah! I'll kill you! He came in again, slashing at my neck. I flicked the sword up, launched him and his blade into the air, and brought the door panel down flat on his face. Bang! The whole arena shook. He hit the floor. I told you! Your sword's fast, but there's no power in it. I looked at his flattened face. Look, it's almost shaped like my sword now. He got up. I put the blade on his shoulder like a mountain and pressed him back down. He got up. He stabbed at my legs. Yo, you're tenacious. I kicked the sword out of his hand. He charged anyway, weaponless, and I swatted him into the barrier. Wang Hao, you feel the gap now. Just yield. I'm doing you a favor. Get lost. I'll kill you. Something snapped in him. He stopped fighting like an awakener. He came in throwing wild, bare-knuckle punches like a street brawler. No skill, no strategy. I held the sword crosswise and let him break his own fists on it. He howled and kept coming. Yield! The gap is heaven and earth! Roll! And then I saw it. The pure, unreasonable refusal to lie down. Given a gap this wide, he still threw a punch at me. So I couldn't disappoint him. I put the sword away and I met him fist to fist. Bang! Ah! Bang! Ow! Bang! In a short while, his slender frame got noticeably rounder, swollen head to toe. A level 60 ice swordsman, province champion, beaten like a naughty child by a petless beastmaster 15 levels below him. The square couldn't breathe. Even we just made rank 3 seniors couldn't do that so easily. He has rank 3 power without a pet in sight. The freshman took actual steps backward, as if distance was safety. The other province champions stared at their own futures getting rearranged. "Sun Kai," a girl whispered. "Did you know he was this brutal?" Sun Kai, who'd nearly picked this fight himself an hour ago, kept a very calm face. Of course. I sensed his talent immediately. Why else do you think I didn't challenge him? And weirdly, watching Wang Hao drag himself up off the floor for the 10th time, bloody and swollen and still snarling, the crowd went quiet in a different way. He couldn't win. He'd known it for a while, and he kept getting up anyway. Even I felt a flicker of it, not pity exactly, something closer to respect. So I decided to end it cleanly. And as I raised the sword, a bald, muscular figure stepped between us. Teacher Zhao. "Li Chuan, could you let Wang Hao finish what he's trying to say?" I blinked. Wang Hao, flat on the ice, face swollen to a pig's head, eyes down to slits, raised one trembling hand. "I surrender." 3 words, and they took everything he had left. He collapsed. I was mortified, because, oh, Teacher Zhao explained gently. "He's been trying to concede for a while. You never gave him the chance to speak." He'd been throwing surrender attempts the whole time, and I'd been knocking him flat mid-sentence, over and over, thinking he was still fighting. I'd beaten a man half to death because I couldn't hear him say, "Uncle." Teacher Zhao handed Wang Hao to the medics, glanced at his empty eyes, and sighed. That fight's going to shadow the kid for years. Then he turned to the crowd. Wang Hao's challenge failed. Who's next? The freshmen took a large collective step backward. Even the province champions. Challenge the man who'd turned Wang Hao into modern art? Hard pass. Dead silence. Not one raised hand. Teacher Zhao, who'd have scolded them an hour ago, said nothing. It wasn't cowardice. It was just Li Chuan. Then rank 1 belongs to Li Chuan. Compete for the rest. He looked at me, eyes blazing. "Your ranking battle's over. Ready to pick an academy? Your style's perfect for combat." "Actually," I touched my nose, "can I fight on someone else's behalf?" He caught my drift instantly and grinned. "No rule against it. Just this once. Don't overdo it." I turned and waved to Zhou Lin, who crept to the ring edge looking genuinely alarmed. Does this guy have a violence gene? Am I in danger long term? Relax. Remember your reward for watching the pets? Here it is. My gaze landed on Sun Kai. "Sun Kai, I challenge you on behalf of Zhou Lin." Zhou Lin's eyes went round, and Sun Kai got struck by lightning. "Is that legal?" He wanted to charge up and beat me on principle, then remembered Wang Hao at the medic station. 3rd place is fine. Better than a beating. He lowered his head. "I surrender." Zhou Lin's tile jumped from 10th to 2nd. "Li Chuan, isn't this a bit domineering?" she stammered, pink. "I was happy at 10th. I gave her a disappointed look. "Are you slow?" 10th place is 5,000 credits. 2nd place is 9,000 and an A-rank material. She lit up. Okay, he does care about me. Warmth spread through her like honey, until I added, "So after rewards drop, transfer me the extra 4,000 credits and the A-rank material." She froze mid-glow. "Give me back the feeling I just had, you bastard." With the top of the board settled, the arena kicked back into life. Freshmen challenging up and down the ranks. But that part was no longer my concern. The second I stepped off the ring, the 3 academies swarmed me again. Magic offered their dean, a 7-turn expert, as my personal master. Combat's teacher Zhao countered with free access to every combat dungeon, which was, frankly, more useful than a rarely present master. I was genuinely torn. Then power rolled across the square and shoved everyone off me. A figure appeared. The teachers dropped into bows. "Master Dean!" I scrambled to follow. The dean of Blazing Dragon University, Zhao Lin, an 8-turn powerhouse who could shake the country by stomping. Square face, gentle, 40-ish, aggressively ordinary. And when I snuck a look at him, his eyes were already on mine, half smiling. "Little guy, you've got nerve. If you want to look, look openly. Sneaking peeks is petty." I went red, and remembered the silver wolf cub was his own beast's offspring. The one I'd handed to Zhou Lin like a party favor. He's here to scold me. "I've never met anyone generous enough to give away a legendary divine beast like spare change," Zhou Lin said, flat and amused. Then, "Little fellow, would you like to be my disciple?" Not his student, his disciple. 2 words apart, worlds apart in meaning. The whole square stopped breathing. An 8-turn master offering to bind his own name and fate to a freshly. Every academy teacher looked at me with raw envy. If I just nodded, I'd rise to the top in a single step, tied to one of the strongest people in the country. And I stood there, the trash class kid from a 30-year-old apartment, being personally recruited by a living legend, and thought, am I dreaming? Ask me again if the giant beast master is trash. What, you don't want to? Zhao Lin smiled. The giant beast master looks down on a mere beast master? No, no, I waved both hands. Are you kidding? He's an 8-turn expert, in my exact profession. Refusing the perfect master is something only a fool does. So I bowed the way people do on TV. Greetings, master. He laughed and pulled me up, thrilled. Come to my office tomorrow. I'll build your cultivation plan myself. Then he turned to Zhou Lin. Little girl, you contracted my silver wolf, so we're fated. Come with him. Zhou Lin stood there stunned. So I'm his student too. But until I kicked her and she blurted a thank you. The academy teachers looked at her with fresh envy. Not a disciple, but even an 8 turns ordinary student is a life upgrade. Then, because the teachers were still hovering, Zhao Lin dropped one more bomb. Send him to Support Academy. Combat and magic have won enough these past years. Let support have its turn. Combat's teacher Zhao nearly cried. Support Academy, the poorest, weakest of the 3, had just been handed a disciple of an 8-turn master, a freshman who'd break records for 3 years. But before he could protest, the support teachers shoved everyone aside, beaming like lottery winners, and swept us away. Support Academy is, it turns out, obscenely rich. They put me in a 6-floor villa on prime land, 1,000 square meters, garden in front, fountain in back, basically a small palace. Zhou Lin, ranked second, got the building right next door. A 2-story house that would be luxury anywhere else and looked like a shed parked beside my palace. So jealous, she said, sour. Want a tour of my big villa? I offered. Tch, no way! And then she was at my side in a blink. Inside was worse. 6 floors of everything, and a basement training ground folded by Space Tech into a full football field, big enough for Frost Bloom to go full battle form and throw a tantrum in. But the part that made my eyes light up was the concealment array wrapped around the whole villa. Activate it, and the inside vanishes from the world. Even a 7-turn expert can't see in. And it runs for free, drinking ambient magic on its own. Perfect. After the Fox Phantom terrified an entire campus, I'd been a little nervous about ever fusing a beast again. Now I had a room where the world couldn't watch. Li Chuan, I really don't feel like we go to the same school, Zhou Lin grumbled, comparing her shed to my palace. Jealous? Move in. We shared a treehouse in the range, and there are plenty of rooms. Her face went scarlet. That's not the same. The wild is not school. I'll go home. See you tomorrow. And she fled. I shook my head. The girl who body-slammed me awake in front of my parents is suddenly shy? I told the smart butler to raise the concealment array and took my 2 beasts down to the training ground. I sat cross-legged and took stock. With the Support Academy joining bonus, my credit balance sat at 28,000, more than most second years earn in a whole year. And then I pulled out the real prize. The freshman rank 1 reward. 2 fist-sized crystals radiating a cold so deep the training ground dropped below freezing in a blink. S-rank material. Frost marrow. A growth material. Frost Bloom's growth material. She felt it and came running, deep blue eyes locked on the crystals, chest already puffed. She knew exactly what this was. Eat up. I pushed the marrow over. She grabbed both pieces in her little claws, tossed them in her mouth, and smacked her lips like a gourmet. Greedy little thing. Then I picked up Ling Ling, stepped back, and waited. Frost Bloom's blue went deeper, brighter, spiritual. Nobility and vastness rolled off her. The bloodline was waking up. Magic gathered, and she snapped into battle form on instinct. 5 meters, then more, a shield of deep blue light wrapping her, ancient runes surfacing and fading across it. She was advancing. Ancestral divine beast, moving to her next stage. And I stood in a hidden room under a palace and watched a myth grow up. The blue light drained back into her, and there she was. A meter bigger, claws and wings meaner, horns thicker, coiled like swords ready to split the sky. And her scales, brand new, deep water waves flowing across the surface, shimmering like a lake caught mid-ripple. Her stats held at 2200, but I wasn't looking at those. I was looking at a new line on her skill bar, a 5th SSS skill. Frost Fury, summon a blizzard, massive ice damage, freeze on hit, area scaling with her rank. 400 meters of it, an absolute god-tier clearing skill. And me, adolescence bumps a pet's feedback to 20%, so my raw stats broke 700 across the board. Intelligence past 800. Rank 3 power, and I hadn't even hit my second advancement ceiling. I could drop a level 70 rank 3 without Frostbloom lifting a claw now. With her, a level 90, maybe 100. The broke kid who bought 3 discount lizards was a hair from officially becoming a superhuman. Then a small, timid voice came out of nowhere. Master? I froze, looked up, met a pair of enormous dragon eyes. Frostbloom, you learned to talk? Of course. She wobbled through it, then found her feet. Master, I'm really awesome. Her body shrank to palm size, and she landed on my shoulder, chest out, glowing. I am the extreme cold dragon, supreme among all dragons. Frostbloom comes before the heavens. She bounced on my shoulder, insufferably smug. And I just sat there, hit by something I hadn't braced for. 3 days after my job change, this was a cage of lizards a salesgirl tried to talk me out of buying. She'd terrified a city by accident. She'd cleared hell dungeons while I watched from the sidelines. She'd batted a level 50 bounty hunter around like a beach ball. For a month in the wild and a month at school, she'd said exactly one word to me. Wah! And I'd carried her, guessed at her moods through a contract, and called her the riddle dragon in my head because I never actually knew what she was thinking. And now she was on my shoulder calling me master, telling me she was awesome. Some things you don't say out loud. So I just rubbed her head and said, yeah, you really are. Ling Ling chirped from my arms, envious, and I promised her she'd advance soon too. Then Frostbloom, drunk on her new voice, grabbed Ling Ling and hauled her into a corner. Quick, transform into human form. Let your big sister get a good look at you. I rubbed my forehead. I have a horrible feeling this dragon has already gone astray. Note to self, no more unsupervised TV. Let's total it up. 2 months ago, I was Li Chuan, class president of a third-rate high school, provincial marriage market bait, and the punchline of a job change ceremony that handed me the single most laughed-at class in the building in front of every rich family in the city, while my own principal died a little inside. Now, I was the provincial champion, rank 1 of an incoming class at one of the 4 schools at the summit of the country, holder of a record set by a legend and untouched for 20 years. Owner of not 1 but 2 ancestral divine beasts, the myth above the myth, the kind most experts insist isn't real. The personal disciple of an 8-turn master, living in a palace with a room the world can't see into, with a talking dragon on my shoulder who thinks she comes before the heavens. And somewhere in a 30-year-old apartment in the suburbs, 2 ordinary people who mortgaged their home for a bronze ring were about to find out their son ranked first. Tomorrow, I'd walk into the Flame Dragon Fortress, a teaching building that's also one of the 9 divine artifacts of the whole country, and my master would hand me a plan to make me stronger. There were silver dungeons to run, a second advancement to chase, a fox to grow, a rank 3 body to forge, and, waiting past all of it, the myriad heavens battlefield where the real monsters live. But that's tomorrow. Tonight, I sat on the floor of a hidden training ground with 2 impossible creatures the world would kill to own, and let myself grin like the broke kid I still was underneath all of it. The trash class. My aching sides. Ask me again.